All right, welcome. We're in part 3 of the VTOL build. So I just put out a video. It's an updated video. I made an error in my last RGB tutorial. I reverse engineered one of my panels, and I always use the same colors, and I made it so you couldn't switch colors. So the new one is out, and everything's updated, so you can watch that if you want. So all I did was I added some RGB lighting into the front, into the VTOL here. Did the live stream last night. Starting to get the autopilot put in here. So the autopilot's going to need a little configuration, reconfiguration because, hey, what's up, Jason? How are you? Autopilot's going to need some reconfiguration because this is going to hover, and so I need to change the modes a little bit on this, but I'll start plumbing away and getting this hooked up. I'll do that later. So one nice thing, the way I set this up is, so right here where it says seat, seat can also be seats. So what I do is I initially hook up just the captain seat, and then later I'll do a seat combiner that combines both seats. And what's nice with that is all you have to do is you don't have to go back into these panels and fix them. You just instead of going from the seat, you go seats to the combiner, and then the combiner to seats, and that will work. So AP pass through bearing micro. We don't. So I'm making a new bearing micro. Unfortunately, I was getting a static vehicle environment issue with the old ADF panel, which is part of the bearing system. So I'm doing a new one. It's all GPS based. I'm not a huge fan of just doing it GPS based, but that's what it's going to be. So I have to finish that panel up. But the new bearing micro is going to go in here. AP monitor touch. So autopilot monitor touch is going to be right here. That's part of the limited Lua I do. Bearing micro, and then let's start plugging away here. So this is altitude within 1,000 feet. Don't need to do that right now. That was for an alarm. I don't do that. I don't do set VSI right now. P-value is fine. Yaw from seat selector. Well, let's actually do this. Let's go ahead and save this. Let's put the seat combiner in here anyway, instead of having to do things over again. So let's see. So this seat and this seat, we'll find where they go. They go right here to the seat combiner. And check that. Seat combiner. All right, we'll grab that. Eventually, I'm going to get some standardized paneling, but it's hard, especially with complicated builds, to get standardized panels. So I'm trying to do what I can to get those standardized panels in. But, you know, this is, once I get a new category of aircraft, still working on the VTOL, trying to get it finished up so I can use it. There, Citrus. I uploaded a new RGB video there, Citrus. I had been reverse engineering my RGB lights, and I did not. I never changed the light colors. I always do red, whites, so I didn't notice the error. So that is fixed now. Seat combined. Okay, so the seat combined here, I'm just plugging in the random crap. Seat combined goes into seats now. And then what we do is we take the captain seat, and that goes into captain. The FO seat goes in FO. What I'm actually going to do is do this. We'll copy this. This already has the some stuff preset in there that it needs to be, like some labels and other things. So we'll just copy that seat over, and this will be the FO seat. FO seat goes there, and then that will be the seat combiner because I need to start doing some of the stuff here. So let's see where we're at here. Data. That is roll, yaw, up, down, and pitch. So currently, as you can see, from the captain seat, it goes to the yaw of the gyro. Now you take the seat combiner and you go to yaw. And so I have to refresh all these. So what's that? Pitch. Pitch will come from the pitch of that seat. So where is it? Pitch. So pretty much this plumbs into the... so this combines the seats so that you can go from either seat. And then up, down is collective. Where's collective? Right there. All right, so now the seats go in here and combine. So some people have been interested in... this is my preferred way to combine seats. A lot of people will do a switch, so you switch from seat to seat. I don't like that. In real life, like say that you had a reduced hydraulic system, you weren't making enough hydraulic pressure, So say for example, the plane I flew, I know that one the best. I have like, what is it, 1,000 something hours in the Embraer 145, and so if you lost a certain amount of your hydraulics, you could still muscle the controls, but it would be very heavy. And so for us, we actually had cable elevator, and so let's say that the hydraulic, was it boosted? No, the elevator wasn't boosted. The ailerons. So let's say the ailerons. So you lost your hydraulic systems, and you now have to muscle your ailerons. Well, it would be like 250 pounds of pressure you'd have to put on the control yoke to be able to roll. And so you might need both pilots to help you turn the ailerons. And so, if you were doing it by yourself, you'd have to put 250 pounds of pressure and hold it to get your plane to turn. But if you now have another pilot, you're splitting the difference. So it'd be 125 pounds per. And so both pilots' controls are connected. And you can fight one another. And the same thing's here. So it's pretty simple. FO comes in, you add them together, and you add the rolls. So generally, I'm flying by myself anyways. But these are all resets anyway, so they will reset. And this one, yep, that's fine. And so these will add these together essentially. And then the buttons all are essentially optionals. They either this or this. So, the FO can press a button on a seat, the captain can press it. So it just combines the seats like that. So some people do it different ways, but that's my preferred way. And so I needed to put that in because, for example, coming into the autopilot here, so the way that this generally works is, let me see where I'm at here. So yaw from seat selector. So we're going to go yaw. So I kind of have a hierarchy that I do here. And it's going to have to be a little bit different on this one. So it goes from the seat to the seat selector to the autopilot, then to the gyro, and then in this case, and then out to the control surfaces. And then in this one, it's probably going to go seats, seat selector, autopilot, gyro, VTOL controller, control surfaces. So this one's a little bit of a different hierarchy. And that's so that the autopilot can take over and control everything. So that's yaw from the seat selector. This is roll from seat selector. So it's definitely good to have good labeling because, like, even I forget these. Like, I forgot what the RGB panel, I screwed something up because I hadn't touched it in a while. I just kept copying the panel. That's one reason I like to remake panels all the time is you'll forget how to do things, and this keeps it fresh. The pitch. And so this is now going to the autopilot, and then it will, once it goes to the autopilot, it will go gyro, VTOL controller. Where the hell did I put the compass? Compass is somewhere in here, I think. It's tough to see these sometimes. I think it's right here. Compass. All right, compass sensor goes right there. Altimeter, I have one somewhere. I don't know where the heck it is. Right here, altimeter. Desired heading is going to be, so generally, let's see, what do I want? I want, which direction do I want it? I think altitude here, so heading here. So this will be HDG heading, and this will be ALT, and that's going to be the altitude. So this will be the altitude for the mode control panel, which controls your autopilot. Vertical speed, desired altitude. Oh, what am I doing here? So this is what, altitude? Altitude. Okay, so desired altitude goes there. Set VSI. So I used to make it at one point in real life. What you'll do is you'll set your vertical speed what you want. So we used to have something called flight level change or flitch, and we hated it. And so it's like when people say, "Oh, my autopilot's jumpy. How do I fix?" Well, $25 million airplane I used to fly, the autopilot sucked at changing its altitude. Essentially, was using a PID. It would pitch too hard initially, and then it would take forever to level off, pretty standard PID stuff. And we preferred vertical speed. So what you would do is you would click vertical speed, and you'd dial it in. If you were only like 1,000 feet from your altitude, say that you're at flight level 370, they want you to go down to 360, you would click VSI, and you would spin it maybe to like 1,000 feet per minute, most, maybe even 500, because usually when you get within 500 feet, it was going to automatically smooth it out. So you just like spin 500. If you were going to go down 10,000 feet, you might spin 2,000, and you pick it yourself. And also, we had crossing restrictions, so you might pick 2,700 to make sure you made all your crossing restrictions. So I took that out, so I might add it back in at some point. Roll tilt. All right, so do I do it now and cause myself anguish? I think I do. So what I'm talking about now is the so Basilicious updated the panels, added a feature I'd requested, and also put in the physics sensor. I would like to update a lot of my systems to physics sensor, but I've yet to do it, so I need to find it. Distance altimeter. Where's physics sensor? It's got to be this. Physics sensor. So let's see. I'm just reading chat here for a second. Yeah, it's nice to be able to jump in either seat, especially like if you were flying with somebody, you could be like, "Hey, take over for a second," and they could fly for a little bit. You know, the problem is you get into it with trims sometimes, but those aren't too bad. So, CG, the next video of the new player career build series, which probably I'm gonna try to make today and see if I can get it out tomorrow. I'll start working on the panel for the boat, so that will go through panels. Yeah, so that'll be helpful probably for you. So that maybe come out tomorrow. All right, so let's see. I'm looking for. Does this have tilt sensor? I don't know. If anyone knows off the top of the head if this has tilt sensor, it's probably one of the Euler positions, but I don't want to convert it. So what I'm going to do is just put a tilt sensor in there. So we have plenty of space here. So I'm going to go tilt. This will be tilt roll. And I believe I usually do left side. So that'll be tilt roll. Roll tilt right there. This here is roll to gyro. And that's going to go to the gyro. This should be yaw to gyro. This should be pitch to gyro. And then up down is going to stay where it is because I'm gonna have to eventually add something on here because I need to do vertical altitude hold on this. So this is going to be, I want to get these panels kind of squared away so that I have a twin engine VTOL set of panels as my kind of my set here. All right, let's go through here and start working on this autopilot. So my autopilot's actually not too bad. We'll go through it. Some people might find some interest in going through some of the parts of the autopilot here. All right, so essentially what happens here is let's go through part by part. So this is bearing micro, and so what the bearing micro does is it knows your current position, and it knows where you want to go, and it draws a line from your current position to where you want to go, and that will give you a bearing, a heading to follow to go there. And so the bearing micro will read that out. This is usually, where are we at here? So desired heading, so you have a couple options here. Part of these are like GPS heading, bearing, and so it allows me to pick between my different headings. If I want to maintain my heading, so I can enter in a heading and have this follow the heading. I can also put in a bearing, have it follow a bearing, and then the last one is the GPS coordinates. So put in GPS coordinates, have it follow the GPS coordinates. Then they go in here. It's going through x minus 360, x plus 360, minus 180, 180. And what this is doing is deciding, okay, do you want to turn left or right? And so essentially it's saying, you know, it's taking your current heading versus the heading you want, and it's figuring out which is closest, to go left or to go right. And then it's going to do this. This is the compass sensor, turning that into degrees. All right, and so that's going to feed in here, and it's going to cause you to go either left or right. Then we go into the numerical switch box here, and I'm trying to see where exactly we are. So this is essentially switching you go left, right. That comes up here, and we have this is going to go in here. So this is a PID. And this PID will kick up. This is, I think, yaw. Yeah, this is yaw. I'm using the same p-value there. I changed the p-value. That's why it's still called roll. But this should be yaw. Here's your roll tilt. That's gonna, so what it does is my autopilot will start to yaw you and it will auto roll to accommodate, I believe, if I remember. And then it's coming in here. This is controlling the roll. And this is, so here, this is how the seat combiner works. So essentially my seats are coming in here and it's adding to the autopilot. So this is something you can do in real life. Say, for example, the autopilot's doing something stupid and it's trying to put you in a mountain. You can override it and you can oversteer it. And so that will allow me to oversteer the autopilot. So, you know, if I need to quickly go up over a tree and the autopilot's doing what I told to do, go straight and level, I can pull up over the tree. And so all these I can override it. There's yaw, so that's the override for the yaw. Let's see, seat. Why is seat not connected to anything? Okay, seat is old, so I should be able to get rid of seat. Let me see. Yeah, seat is old because what I'm doing is I used to bring the seat in here. Now I don't do that. What I do is I bring in the seat combiner. So we have the seat combiner there. I could essentially I could shrink that panel down and turn it into composite nodes, but I haven't done that. So here's the altitude portion. So my desired altitude versus the altimeter. I have a correction in there. And so the way I do I find this to be the best way to do altitudes is you have your desired altitude, your altimeter. That's going to do X minus, that's for something different. So this is going to come in here, and my desired altitude versus my altimeter is going to go into the PID. And this is going to either give me a minus 10 or a positive 10. So the PID's either going to go to minus 10 or positive 10. That is in meters. So 10 meters, or so that's essentially meters per second. So, you know, I do everything in vertical speed. And so that's going to give me a number maximum of negative 10, or minimum negative 10, maximum of 10. And then it's going to go to a second PID. And so I want it to maintain a certain VSI. You'll see a lot of people's, they just pitch up like a crazy man. Like say you're at 5,000 feet, you enter in 30,000 feet. It's going to pitch up like crazy because the PID's going to want to get there and it's going to put you up on your tail, which is unnatural. So this can go crazy. This one's fine. Let this go crazy. But then I have vertical speed, and this is giving me a maximum of 10 meters per second vertical speed, and it's comparing it to vertical speed. So then this goes crazy. This is a crazy number, and then this is a rational, usable, comfortable climb rate essentially. That's so this then goes into the pitch component, and I'm gonna have to add in a collective component when we're in hover mode essentially. So I'll put when the speed is below a certain amount. This is fine. This can keep doing what it's doing, but then I'm going to have to add in collective under 90 knots. All right. This is all nonsense right now. Okay, so this is pretty good. I'm gonna have to go through work a bunch of this in a second. But we're pretty good there so far. Let's see. That all connected. All right. So next thing we need to do is, so we have the that. Where is my VTOL controller? So VTOL controller is here. VTOL controller. So as you can see, my pitch will go in there. So the hierarchy again is seats to seat combiner to autopilot, autopilot to gyro, gyro to VTOL controller will control everything. So let's give it a quick flight, make sure I didn't completely royally screw anything up, which there is a reasonable chance of that. Don't think anything else needs electricity. I think I hooked everything up that needs it. All right, so let's go give the autopilot a swing, see what happens. Let me do this. So this is my master breaker right. Where the hell are you, master breaker? Right here. What is that? That's seat occupied, so that's getting changed. So right here is master breaker. And unfortunately, this goes to main bus. I'm trying to think. See, the problem is I don't want these lines going 100 miles like this. It's not the end of the world. It's just ugly to look at all these lines coming across like this. But this is going to turn on. So when I turn on essentially the master breaker, this is going to do all my backlighting and everything. So I just have to redo them and move them now. What's that? Relay? Oh, I just screwed up a relay. All right. Can I back that up? I don't think so. No. Okay. I'll have to fix it. It's not a huge deal, but it's pain. So maybe this panel, I'll try to get close to the front so that I'm not, I don't have lines crossing over everything. Right, that's there. You. So for a while there, I just had it when I sit in the seat. It turns everything on, and now I'm changing the way I do it. So they should all be going up now. Make sure occupied seat is doing nothing. It is. Okay, and then I broke this. What is this relay? I think ground power. This should be ground power relay, so that's off of electricity. Ground power. All right, not too bad. Fix that like that. All right, let's give this a swing and see how we're going. Eventually, I'll put some entry doors on, but I'm just flying in for now until I do the ramp. All right, so we need battery 1, power connect. Power connect turns on all the monitors. Yay. Why is this one not on? Because I didn't hook up the video. That's good to know. Need that for the autopilot. I already hooked up the monitor touch. I just didn't hook up the vidya. Vidya's in now. All right. This is why I always like build the build and make sure it flies properly, because if you do all this work and it doesn't fly right, it's like, oh my god, I just wasted 9 years doing all this and nothing works. So, all right, so now this is up and running. This is my autopilot panel. Let's go ahead and spin one. So for those who weren't watching yesterday, hey, how's it going, Isaac and Aaron and Ghost? If you weren't watching yesterday, I can now run this on one engine, and it is interlinked, so the torque from one engine will go to both rotors, both fans, and so that allows me to do a ton of fuel savings when I want and run this via one engine. All right, so let's do a couple things. Let's test some of this on the ground before there's tiers. So altitude, 30,000, enter. Autopilot. So look at my pitch fins. As you can see, they're just barely up. And then I want to go altitude hold, and those have increased, so that is good. Altitude hold, those have now, let's see, have they flattened? I have a trim in there. Let me take the trim out. All right, they're flattened, and now let's put that altitude hold back on, and we pitch up. Good. Kill that. Heading hold, what's our current heading is 026, so 180 should be a yaw to the right. Heading hold. Nothing. Okay. Yaw is based on roll. As long as my ailerons are going, we're fine. So see, the aileron right side is up, meaning we're turning to the right, and that one is down, so that's working. The yaw, my yaw is controlled via the roll. It keeps me. You want to turn with your roll, and then you want to coordinate with your yaw, so that works. I don't have the bearing panel in yet. Okay, good, so that's fine. Let's go ahead, release the brakes. Let's taxi out. So I'm gonna check some chat while I'm working here. Yeah, I'll go through all the panels, CJ. Hopefully it'll be out tomorrow, we'll see. Like, what do you mean microcontrollers for screens? Lua? I can do very basic Lua. I'm not very good at Lua. This is one of my Lua panels. I am not great at Lua. Main reason I haven't done any Lua tutorials is I really don't know it well enough to feel confident to do any tutorials, so. I hope to get better myself before I do it. There aren't very many good Lua tutorials, so I have to kind of figure it out on my own, and then, I have to figure it out on my own, and then I can do some tutorials on it, so my confidence on that's not great. Buenos tardes to you, Aaron. Yeah, it's shaping up pretty well. Alright, so we're going to set up the autopilot before we take off. So my new heading is a 221. So let's go enter in a heading 221. Let's go up to 5,000 feet. We're going to shut off the autopilot, and we're going to do heading hold, altitude hold. That pre-selects them. All right, and let's go ahead. We'll take off like a helicopter. So spool up. All right, there we go. Landing gear's coming up. Start putting the fan clutches up. All right. And so we're still only running on one engine. That's fine. We'll leave one engine on. So notice, at full thrust with one engine, I only go about 150 knots. I go 250 with two engines. This gives me a really low RPS. So I have 7 RPS on one engine. That really saves me a ton of fuel. All right, so autopilot's coming on. All right, autopilot. Something screwed up with the autopilot, obviously. Let me check the... Why is this donkeyed up? So something is screwy, as you can see. Alright, so I need to fix this. As you can see, obviously the autopilot's screwed up, so I need to fix something. Alright, let's take off altitude hold. Let's pitch ourselves and see what it's doing. So I want to see, is the heading hold working? So the heading hold appears to be working. Heading hold's 221. Let's see if this levels us out at 221. I'm just going to trim my pitch. All right, 221. We're holding at 221. Let's go 180. Should get a left turn to 180. So that's aggressive. I need a... that's not too bad. Yeah, it's a little aggressive. Is it? Yeah, it's overly aggressive, so I need to tune it down a little bit. But it's not too bad. Let's see if it does level out at 180. Yeah, it's a little bit slow, so that needs some tweaking, but it's not too bad. What is sitting in here? And then let's grab this back, and so something is up. So altitude is screwed up. So let's go, what's our current altitude? Current altitude is 2,000. Let's go 3,000. We'll give it a nice quick climb. And you see it's going nuts. Oh, you know what it is? I know what it is. Okay. I have no vertical speed, so it doesn't, so what it's doing is I'm telling it what vertical speed I want. I want 10 meters per second climb rate. It has nothing to compare it to. So it always thinks I'm at 0, so it's just going to keep pitching and pitching and pitching and pitching and pitching. Let's read, does physics sensor have vertical speed? I don't know. I have to look. I would like to convert as much of this to physics sensor as I can. Linear velocity y. Which is it? Let me see. I always screw these up. So it'd be linear velocity y, I believe. So let's see. Linear velocity y. See, it doesn't tell me the numbers. That's frustrating as hell. Okay, I can use this for GPS now. Exposition. Let me see if anyone numbered the physics sensor for me. Yeah, there's already a Google search for this. It comes up with my video as the top video. I need to try to remember this. The numbers. I'm just trying to look for something with the numbers on. Okay, so I found somebody's Steam. They have it all numbered out. So I want... so I'm looking for vertical speed. So that would be linear speed upward. What? They're showing Z as the linear speed up. Let's just plug it in, see what it does, and I can fix it later. So I need to go in here, so I'm going to change this. This is one of the reasons why I just haven't got to it yet. Changing some of this crap over is to physics sensor, because it's like I have to redo it. So this is physics sensor. All right, and then that was over here. Physics sensor. All right. And so I need to compare the roll to the tilt sensor, which I have not plugged in. I put in a roll. No, I need pitch tilt. No, what do I need? I need vertical speed. So that is roll. Here's pitch and vertical speed. Right here's what I don't have. So let's go there and let's try channel 9. This could be a pain to try. Let's try channel 9. I'm gonna have to go test this and see if this behaves itself for vertical speed. So it had nothing to compare the vertical speed to. Where's physics sensor now? Where the hell is physics sensor? There it is. All right, let's try this, see if it behaves itself. I have to kind of just fly this to test it. So we're going to try to get this thing spun up as fast as possible. So battery A, power connect, spin 1. I'm out of the chat for a second, guys. I'll be right back in chat. Alright, let's see. Check the stream here. Alright, let's get moving here. I'm just going to take off like an airplane. Heading of 180. Altitude of 5,000 feet. Parking brakes coming off. Heading altitude are pre-selected. Yeah, I would really love it if somebody who's really good at Lua panels would do a tutorial. Because it's like, I would like to learn some of the stuff. You know, and very much in this game context, like, you know, you can learn it just IRL stuff, but it's always nice to know in the game's context how to set up for the game. All right, let's do it. All right. So it's moving in the right axis, it looks like. Maybe it's inverted. I think it's inverted. So let's try, see if it's an inversion problem. This is why I don't like converting this stuff, is it's just like, you know, I have something that works, and then I have to go to something that doesn't work just to, you know, save myself some time. It's a lot of effort for nothing, you know, for some delayed benefit, essentially. So, negative X, let's try it. You know, and the testing takes some time. I have to actually... So if this doesn't work, it's probably the wrong channel. Read some chat while I'm doing this. Yeah, all the screens are mine. It's just, this screen's mine. These screens are not mine. These screens are Basilicious's. This one's mine, this one's mine. These are all Basilicious's, so. It'd be awesome if Basilicious would do a tutorial. I really like their stuff, and, Alright, so let's taxi out. Yeah, but all these are Basilicious's. Like, this is kind of a pain to test this because I have to enter in a ton of data every time I want to get moving. Start a procedure now is pretty complicated, so. Steer. Now let's trim out. Let's get the... Alright, let's make sure it's not something else broken. Let's just put in a vertical speed for right now. And make sure that works. If it works, I'm going to... I'll work on the physics sensor connection later. So vertical speed should go into the process variable. This is set up, and when I finally deal with that, let's do Linear speed. Directional. That needs to plug in here. Where is it? Yeah, physics sensor will help. I just haven't got to doing it yet. Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be. That's what I thought. But like I'm looking at somebody's thing. You know what it is? They use a microcontroller transformer. I'm trying to get the raw numbers, and it's not giving me the raw numbers. So that's obnoxious. Yeah, so it should be Y. Let me try Y. They said it was Z on this on something I looked up. So I think they're wrong. I think what they did was convert it. And I'll give it one last ditch attempt. And so the problem is to count these out. Let's see. X positions Y. X is 1. Y is 2. Z is 3. Euler X 4, Euler Y 5, Euler rotation Z is 6, linear velocity X is going to be 7, and linear velocity Y is going to be 8. So we should be channel 8, I think. Let's play with it one more time. Let's actually do it the way I have it now. I plug that in because if I want to find out first, is the autopilot broken? If the autopilot is not broken, then I know I can just try channel 8 or 7, because they did a conversion which screwed me up there. But I did what I didn't want to do, which make my startup procedure so complicated. I should put the autopilot in first. Just practice Diablo to learn the logic is part of it. Like I kind of sit through and I think about the problem first. A lot of people, they just try things. I kind of think it out first, but it's all practice. You get used to the logic after a while, and and also I have, with my degree in aeronautical science, we had to learn a lot of the systems for aircraft, which is transferable to other things, but a lot of it's just trial and error. And then you can make things better and stuff. And so, like, a lot of people's, for example, I hate a lot of other people's autopilots for aircraft because they just don't behave like real aircraft. And so I kind of tweak my stuff to be, with my experience. So. And then I know a lot of, like, mechanical stuff from operating vehicles. So, okay, so see, the autopilot is freaking out with the vertical speed in there. Why is this? So there's something up with it doesn't like the vertical speed. Alright, I gotta figure out what the hell is wrong with this. Let's check it really quick. Did I plumb all this in correctly? Let's see. It's starting to get complicated too here, so where are we at here? Did I plug you in? I did. I plugged you in right to there. Alright. Let's save this really quick. So jet AP. Let's pull up the stall, see what's up. I have to reverse engineer some of my own stuff too, just to save me time. All right, so where are you at? VSI, set VSI. Compass, roll, tilt, vertical speed right here. Vertical speed is, where is it? I have it right here. Linear speed, vertical speed right here. This linear speed there. All right, this linear speed here, it's vertical linear speed, directional, yeah. So that should be running right off the bat. I don't know why it isn't. So something is, see, this is why I wanted to go back to linear speed, was something's wrong with the autopilot in general. All right, so let's go walk through it and see why this is misbehaving here. All right, so vertical speed is plumbed in there. That's fine. Click on the AC before I die. All right, so that is comparing this. We're getting a maximum value of 10 meters per second climb rate. Desired altitude altimeter. Okay. Pitch to gyro. There's pitch there. There's pitch from gyro. 1, -1's fine. 0.06 there. So why the hell is this not running right? So this is running if... Yeah, so this should be on if autopilot and 14 are on. So 9 and 14, that's fine. Let's try some. I didn't hook up the gyro node. I'm trying to get away from that. So I'll hook it up, see if it fixes it. If this fixes it, I need to work on this problem later. So let's do that. Because I have it going to auto hover as kind of a tertiary smoother. And so I need to fix this. Let me check. This is what I didn't want, is I didn't want to get the startup procedure so complicated. My testing takes forever. I'm already there. Yeah, it just takes practice. You know, do it a step at a time. You know, learn one part. You know, a lot of people will try to start with the super difficult stuff. Like, you'll see brand new player, I'm trying to build the Titanic. It's like, dude, don't build the Titanic. Build a little tiny boat, you know, and then move on to the next thing and the next thing. And so, like, some people, they start building crazy stuff right off the top. And it's like, you got to start small and build your way up and learn a system. You know, reverse engineer if you need to. Like, I reverse engineered I was like, how do you make the autopilot know which direction to turn? And so I reverse engineered somebody else's thing, and I looked at it, and then it made sense to me. Oh, do that, that makes sense. You know? And then, like, I looked at a bunch of people's, come on. Go vertical, go vertical, go vertical. I don't want to deal with crashing. Come on, come on, come on, come on. It takes me so long to get this friggin' thing started up. I don't want to deal with you crashing. Piss off. That's the problem with when this takes forever to start the vehicle is I start rushing and then it is a pain in the ass to get going. And I have to go through my whole startup procedure to get this thing turned on. The nice thing is I can type in multiple things at once. Alright. Let's get this trim zeroed. Alright, let's see if I can't get this autopilot to behave itself now. Alright. So that's working. So likely what's happening is my p-value is too high, and I need that auto gyro to smooth it. So I'll fix that later. So we're going up to 5,000 feet now. Alright, so that's working for now. I need to fix it and tune it. It's too sensitive, but it's working. Alright, so we're at 180. See how it's too sensitive? It's doing that. That's actually just the gauges showing. That's not the end of the world. It needs a smaller p-value, though. Then my altitude's overextended there, so I need to fix that. Alright, so let's go ahead. Let's play with the autopilot a little bit. Let's go to 6,000 feet. So that is... So see, it's still super sensitive. It's going up to like 25, 30 degrees to move 1,000 feet. And then we want to go heading of 270 to west. Should make a right turn. All right, so that's working presently. I need to fix it a little bit. So that was the problem. So I figured out the problem is I needed the auto hover on as a smoother. And so I'm going to go back and try to put in the... I think it's channel 8 for the physics sensor. So let's try the physics sensor and see if I can make that work for me. I'll shrink panels up. So I'm trying to get some of these panels shrinked. All right, so let's try channel 8, see if that works. And let's see if that'll work. Okay, this is the annoying part, is I have to kind of get this. It takes me forever to get this started now. I need to kind of come up with a new hard, fast rule, is autopilot goes in before I make the startup procedure complicated. And I need not to rush, because if I end up rushing, I end up crashing, and then I screw everything up. All right. Yeah, we'll do a couple lights here. We're at it. So last night I put in lighting and tilted them, so the lights are all in, and they're turned correctly. The nose wheel light steers, so that's all in. Jets aren't that hard. You know, jets are actually kind of somewhat easier than props, just because most people don't understand how propellers are supposed to work, and so their propellers are a little weird. But you know. All right, we're up. Let's turn on the autopilot. All right, so the autopilot appears to be working with channel 8, so that person converted the number to 9 for some reason. So I was looking for just the numbers. Let's make sure we level off at 5,000. All right, hopefully this levels off at 5,000. I need to fix the p-values. The p-values are way off. All right, so it's working. It just needs to be tuned and tuned in, so that's fine. All right, good. So we have a working autopilot for the most part here. That's good. I'm going to go get a quick drink and a bathroom break. I'm going to throw you guys a commercial, and I will be right back. All right, back. All right, so let's see what we're doing here. So autopilot is, for the most part, working. Let's get the new bearing panel in. So I started working on the new bearing panel. It's GPS bearing panel. So the way the old bearing panel worked was you could do both GPS and you could also do radio with the ADF system. The ADF system is broken because of game stuff. So this new one, for example, if you look here, I start putting these in. So you have all of the bases, and so some of them I've entered in. You have Dre Moore's X and Y coordinates. You have Harrison's X and Y coordinates, O'Neill's, FJ's. So these are all the X coordinates, and these are all the Y coordinates. I've entered in all the ones that are always in the same position, and then you would have to manually enter in the ones for your seed. So it's kind of obnoxious now. Before you didn't have to do that, but now you kind of have to do it because the game just doesn't like it. So let's go keypad X. X is A, Y is B. And then we have GPS. So I'm going to try to switch this over to the physics sensor. And so let's switch these over. So GPS X and Y. Okay. So this is the fun of the bearing panel at present. Let's see. Radio receiver. I don't use the radio receiver anymore. Am I going to regret what I just did? Probably. All right, here's keypad X and Y, and then... Okay, let's keypad X and Y. Let's do this. Let's kill this for now, and then bring it... What did I just delete something I didn't need? Okay, let's bring it back in. I need to remember where that plugs in, so... So this bearing panel is how I navigate. I don't like a moving map. I hate moving maps. It's so boring to me. So I do it more manual, how you do it, kind of IRL. Because like an instrument moving map, you don't see the ground. It's just fixes. All right, so that goes in there, and then that goes there. So here is GPS X and Y are right here. So I'm going to need those. So what I'm going to do is just add in a physics sensor first. I'll check chat in a second. All right, physics sensor, and then physics sensor is now going to take over. Let me check some chat here. Yeah, steam power I haven't touched too much. I'd like to get into it a little bit more, but the main thing that discourages me from using Steam is the time it takes to start up. So like if you want to get something moving, you have to start up. It's not the end of the world. If like a large ship, it makes sense, but you know, not a large ship, it doesn't make a ton of sense because it's like, because, you know, like even Triton, I have to go downstairs and get everything configured and set up to start the ship because it's a big, huge ship. So that's not a big deal. The problem is, you know, if it's another vehicle where you just want to start up and go, you can't really do that because of for obvious reasons. All right, so physics sensors in. Let's check the nodes here. All right, X position, so that should be 1 and 2. What is the Z position? I should just need X and Y, I think. Hopefully. They didn't do very good documentation on the bearing on the physics sensor. They just didn't. And it's just frustrating that they didn't do good documentation on it because it's like I have to now look to find all the stuff on my own and do extra testing. You know, it'd be nice if they did better documentation on it. So let's hope this is what it needs to be here. That goes there, and this goes, where are you going? Right there, okay. Let's hopefully this is working fine. Yeah, where you connect to here. Can't see the bottom. Okay, bottom. So let's hope that is now works for the XY coordinates. Physics sensor. What? Radio, I plugged in the wrong one. That's why. Okay. So that should hopefully give me GPS off the physics sensor. Let's plug in the rest of it. Bearing micro out. AP pass-through. What are you? Radio receiver we don't need. Bearing 2, radio frequency don't need. GPS X and Y are already in there. Keypad Y is B. Keypad X is A. Where's the keypad X? I have a compass sensor in here. So where's that? Compass sensor. Right there. And then what are you? You're FLIR. I don't have in there yet. And FLIR FOV. And then what are you? AP pass-through, radio receiver I don't need, monitor touch, and I need video. Video goes to the bearing micro. Let's play with the bearing micro. Let me read some chat. Afterburners shouldn't explode. They just burn fuel. If you look at my Stormworks Basics turbine controller, you control it with the PID, and they can't overheat. They over rev. If they go to 200 RPS, they'll pop. So let's see if we can do this testing here without getting out. So here's the bearing panel. I did make this one. So bearing, this is going to read nothing. It's reading the 0, 0 position, which is going to tell us how to get to 0, 0 on the map. So we ignore that initially. Distance is 10 miles to the 0, 0. Time is 0 because we're not moving. This goes to the pages. So we can type in radio. And so the way I did the new bearing panel is this. So the old way was you had a radio, an actual antenna in a shack. And the shack was on the ground like it is IRL. And all that shack did is it reported its current GPS position. So it recorded where is the shack. And then via radio signal, it would send it out. And you would pick it up with your radio antenna. And then you would put in a frequency and it would read that radio frequency like it does in real life. The way it happens now is through all this nonsense. So if you look here, these are all the radio frequencies. So you now type in the radio frequency, and each radio frequency is assigned to an X and Y coordinate of the airports and the different locations that you have. And then that feeds it back. So instead of it actually going through a radio, it is faked, and it goes through a memory, essentially, which is not my preferred way because of a number of reasons for realism, but that's what I have to do with the game, the way it's working now. So that is what that is. So that's why we have the radio there. So I have to put in radio frequencies, which I wrote them down, so I'll check them in a second here. But we should be able to do this on the ground without moving. All right, so that is entering the radio frequencies. So let's see. Harrison, let's try Harrison. Let me see if I can check my notes and see what I put in for a frequency for Harrison. I think I did a Google Drive of that, so I'll find that, and that will give me the, I put in a Google Drive of all the ADFs. So this is all my frequencies. All right, so GPS bearing panel, I did make a spreadsheet. So for example, Harrison is channel 500. The radio frequency is 500. So you go in here and you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 500. Now we can go page back if we want. So now that's wrong. Why the Christ are you not working? 90. Touch is connected. I connected monitor touch. That's working. This was working before. Oh, why is it not working now? Maybe it's just Harrison. Okay, I think Harrison is broken. Let's try O'Neill. Let's see what O'Neill is. I think I do remember I broke Harrison. I have to fix it. Okay. Let's see. So let's try Draymore first. Is 635. So we'll go back to radio. 635. That's broken. Why the hell is this broken? I don't get it. I gotta fix it. It could be that bearing doesn't know where we are. Take a GPS. I'll fix this GPS here. All right, that's powered. Now this is powered. Let's go through the old way. That was the best way. The documentation on that GPS, on that physics sensor is really obnoxious. What are we at? That's X, Y coordinate, GPS, Y, GPS X. Yeah, they didn't do very good documentation, and it's kind of annoys me that they didn't. So I have to plug this back where it was. Let me make sure I plugged in the physics sensor into this box. I think I did. Physics sensor, yeah. So, yeah, see, it says it outputs the X and Y position, but I don't know if that's 1 or 2. So, it's just, I'll convert all these over later. I'm not interested in screwing around with a stupid physics sensor right now. It's just annoying me at this point. So, X is going to be here. X goes to here, and Y goes, where is Y? Right there. All right. So that goes back. So we're going to plug this back in the way it was. That wasn't friggin' broken. And you go to here. And where are you going? Bottom node, bottom node. All right. All right, let's check this, see if it was that issue. The physics sensor, I'm just pulling my hair out because, like, what the devs should have done, and maybe they did and I didn't notice it, but they should have put out a chart and it numbers each thing. And it's on there, you know, put it in the announcements tab. I don't know why they didn't do that. So let's try 635. Because, see, I can't tell if it's something I broke or that, but I did test this out and it was working before, so. Okay, so see, now we have bearing of 76. So that's a 076 heading. Distance is wrong. Distance is wrong, okay. Let's do 500. 500 should be Harrison. 500 should be Harrison. 76. What the? Let's go through this and see what the hell I broke on this thing. Something screwed up in this. Here, micro out. Let's see. Radio freak is right here. All right, so this radio frequency here is what I'm doing. So when I do those screens, it is going, the hell is this? Radio frequency. All right, so the Lua script comes out here. It reads channel 4, which is so these are my channels in my Lua for example, it's 4 digits, my radio frequency, so that would be digit 1, 2, 3, and 4. Those go in, they go to toggles to push. They'll come in here, it will count up from 0 to 10. At 10, it circles, so you can do 9 digits, and then on the 10th one, it recycles it back to 0. It goes through, and it writes them visually back up there, and then it gives you a radio frequency. That radio frequency then comes over here, and it goes threshold gates here, and all these threshold gates, as you can see, are plumbed in, and they will read out to the different thresholds, and when the number is correct, it will trigger a flip here and a flip here, which will give you the proper GPS coordinates of Dremore. All right. Then that's going to come up here, and this is the X coordinates. These are the Y coordinates. They come up in this numerical switch box. I know what's wrong with it. Okay, I know what's wrong with it. It was a me issue. It was not a system issue. Let me check some chat. Let me see. A War Thunder mouse control system. Yes. I hate mouse control. I never do it. I loathe the mouse control. Yeah, I never do any mouse control. I really dislike it. Is it realistic to have a rifle and a truck? Probably in the south of the United States. So I figured out what was wrong. It's actually nothing wrong with this system. Let's try the system. Then I'm going to plug in the physics sensor. I think I had that. That was correct. That was fine. What was screwing me up was I didn't configure the autopilot correctly, so I need to do that. All right, so we're going to enter in 635, which is Draymore. So the shack should be, the simulated shack should be right here on the map. Right here. That's where the GPS coordinates is. All right, so that is in. Now, it's not going to read correctly because I have to go nav radio. And that should switch it over, and it didn't, and now it's annoying me. So that should be fixing it, and it's not. All right, I'm gonna work on this bearing system later. It's annoying me now. Because I was trying to convert this over to GPS, and it's just acting up. All right, why? Let's enter in a GPS coordinate, see if the GPS on this is working. All right, so we'll set in. So it's on radio. Let's go to GPS. That's not working either. Why is that not working? Question. All right, check some chat while I'm trying to figure this out. I don't know if I'm posting this to the workshop. Probably not. Okay. Yeah, definitely not posting it now that you're bugging me to answer a question about it. Dude, why do you think harassing me about it would make me more inclined to release something? Okay, for that particular reason, I'm not ever posting it to the workshop because you asked 3-4 times for me to post to the workshop. I don't understand people begging for people's creations, thinking that they're going to release them quicker. All you're doing is you're aggravating somebody. You're asking for somebody's hard work for free, which I am perfectly inclined to do, but not if I'm being harassed for it, because that's rewarding the behavior that if you go bug somebody, that they're going to give you their hard work for free. If you ask nicely, somebody might do it because, oh, this person asked nicely for it. But if you're bugging me for it, you're definitely not getting it. I just don't understand that notion that people think that bugging somebody is going to make them give you their work. I don't get it. I really don't. I just really don't get that. I used to watch a lot of Farming Sim stuff, and there were some really great people who made mods for Farming Sim. I played Farming Sim for like 10 years. And people would just go on there and bug them 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 about giving out their thing. And finally, a big portion of the community said, I'm not releasing my builds anymore because I get harassed. I get DMs constantly asking for my builds. So you hear, I don't know why you think that's an endearing strategy that would make somebody want to release their stuff to the workshop by bugging them about it. All right, let me try to get back into this and stop being grouchy. Yeah, but that rubs me the wrong way, that sort of thing. Let's see what's wrong with this. So I want to get this thing in the career build series. All right, let's check all the connections. So radio receiver. So I don't need the radio anymore. It used to be all radio. It doesn't do radio anymore. AP pass-through. Shouldn't need anything. Let's go AP pass-through, but I don't think I need anything off the autopilot. Maybe I do. Let's do that. Let's see if AP pass-through did it. It could be. I might have looped that through, but it should be all Lua should be running this. All right, let's go, and we'll put in 635. And we'll do, okay, so we'll go back. That should read nothing. Okay, that's fine. Nav, radio. Okay, there, that fixed it. So it's something in the autopilot that I need to go back. So that's what did it. So notice the bearing is 161. So I don't have a compass on me, but look right there. See where I put that waypoint? All right, so this is 129. That's 161. So that is right on the money. It's zero point 0.1 nautical miles. That makes sense. You know, 363 meters is about a third, you know, and that is, I think I round that. And time to waypoint is less than a minute, which makes sense. Well, it's going to show 0. If we're not moving, I have it read 0 instead of reading an enormous number because, you know, it would take us infinity if we never started moving. So it would show an enormous number. I just have it read out 0. And then it blinks if we're within half a nautical mile of the waypoint to tell us we're getting close. All right, good. So that is there. Harrison is 500. So it was something on the autopilot panel I needed. I forgot how I had the system hooked up. All right, 500. Now that's a bearing of 96. So Harrison is, the waypoint would be somewhere over, I think I put it there. Somewhere close to there. So if you notice, it's over there. 13.2. This is in nautical miles. That's not meters. That's why the number was 0.1. So it's 7 nautical miles, which it's about, what is it? What the hell is the nautical mile conversion? 2.28, something like that? I think it's 2.28. So that is about 7 times 2.28, 13. That's, no, it would be less than that then. I'll have to remember. I can't remember the number. But, so that's 13 kilometers or 7.1 nautical miles, a bearing of 96. So we have 129. 96, that works. All right, so that's working. GPS. Let's get the GPS fixed. So the GPS coordinates, we're going to put it right here. All right, so now to put in GPS, I'm going to enter in the GPS coordinates, and it's going to stay the same until I select GPS. And now it changed, 106. That is closer now. It's 11 kilometers, so that number went down. That is working. Okay, good. So this appears to be working. I'm going to read through some chat. What do you mean, like how to shape the cockpit? Is that what you mean? Or just like general fuselage shape? So much of that stuff, like, you know, I did like the hull tutorial. I'm going to do a fuselage tutorial at some point, but a lot of it is, so much of it's practice. And, you know, you can watch somebody else and you can kind of get the shapes and start to learn some tricks. And so I'll do some tutorials on that, but a lot of it is practice. Is build something like, you know, don't even like build the systems, just build a fuselage, start another one, keep building it and practice. I find that is helpful to just practice to build fuselages. The question was, you know, do you have any tutorials on how to build a good sized fuselage passenger hospital plane? Yeah. Yeah, so like, yeah, so what I put in here is, I'll actually show you this. So see how it shows 0 to get to that point? So it would normally, like I said, read out an enormous and miserable number if it's, you know, and so where the hell is it? It's in here somewhere. ETA right here, numerical switch box right here. So if the, if it's more than, I think 180 minutes, it will read out a 0. So because I only want it 3 digits long, so it will, if it's an enormously huge number, it's going to read out a 0, so I don't have to look at that. Thank you, Ratty Rex. Yeah, so making cockpit shapes, let me save this up really quick. I actually don't, I'll save it. I'll update it. I moved some crap around just to show, and I don't want to destroy it. Let's save this as AP. So like, for example, some tips on some of the stuff for fuselages. So like, we'll go through some of the planes. So like, this has a more modern rounded fuselage. So first thing I do is when I start, I put in the seats. How do I want the seats configured? And so like, this is one of my standard sizes, is I want a single panel in middle, seats, walls. And so start with that. Then I know that I need 2 blocks of space to be able to put the panels. So then I make a box. So the box is essentially the wall and the panels and the seats. And so it makes this box. Then from there, I know, okay, the windows are only ever going to be at a 45-degree angle, essentially. So the windows we have in game only match up with 1x1 blocks. And so I know a 2x2 will make a 1x1, 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 and that works. And so then what I'll do is I'll build out. So I have my box there for my seats. I'll do a quick, let's do a quick fuselage thing. Need a little break from that that bearing panel. I've got it working now, but it was just frustrating me at first. So let's get that in. All right, so I know I want my seats, so this is how I start my fuselages. So put a couple seats in where I want them. Is it going to be a big jet? I want a 3-wide panel. If it's going to be a smaller plane, I do a 2-wide panel. Then I go like that, cut the fat. This is now my wall. All right. And like I said, I know I want to go 2 past this for my panel, for my firewall. I call it firewall because it protects you from the fire when the engines are all in the front. And so this is going to be it. So generally, I want foot space here, and then I'm going to build up probably 3 tall for there. All right, so that's my panel. And so this now builds out my box. My one high? It depends. Your head sticks about up here over the seat back, so that's good to know as well. And then what I'll do is I'll build out like this. And then I'm going to put in my windows. So depending on how you want your windows, let's say you either want them 2 tall, 3 tall. Depends. If I'm doing like an airliner, I'll do like 2 tall. If I'm doing something a little slower, I'll do 3 talls like that. And then I need to figure, the next thing I'll actually kind of do is I'll usually go, if it's going to be a 3, I'll go in with these on the corner pieces there. And then I want to get my 3x 2x4s here probably. These diamonds are a pain to work with. It takes me like 8 spins to get them moving. So let's say that's how tall I want my windows. So these are too tall, so I want the 2s. I always screw those up. So there are my 2s, and then I like to have a center pedestal because that's generally what you're going to have in most modern jets is a center pedestal. All right, so there I'm starting to work with the glass there, and then I'll cut out this because the whole reason I put that there was for the was so I could put the windows. All right, so now I have my windshield in here, and I'm going to build. Likely, it depends. So I can go. I start to work on the roof because I like to have overhead panels. So I'll go roof like this, and then I'll do 2x pyramids. And then I need to drag a block to get these to go. So we'll drag a block to get these to drag more easily. So like on this one, I'm doing 2s like that. And then I'm going to cut over the window. So I have to do, I want an overhang over the window. In this case, I did an overhang over the window. And so I'm going to keep an overhang over the window like that. And then we'll go like this. All right, so now we have the beginning of our roof line, and from experience, you can see that will give me enough headroom to be able to put in an overhead panel right here. So there's my overhead panel will go in here, and that will fit so that I can operate that. I can even, I can't cut that out. What can I cut? Yeah, so that will give me my overhead panel there. So I'm kind of just working on minimum spacing, and you start to learn like how much space you get. So windows, I'll usually do a 3x1 here. And then I kind of like a more cramped cockpit feel because that's what I'm used to. Because, you know, if you're pressurizing the plane, you don't want a ton of places for a leak. And then you're generally going to want, you can do, so I don't want to cut into my panel. So I'm going to put a 1 block there and then, let's see, 2. This is where it can get a little bit complicated. But that should line up like that. And then so let's see. because you have to worry about cutting into your panel here. And so actually what I can do is this. Let's go 2 by here. Where is it? 2 by. So you can't, I'm leaving space for my panels there, so that's why I don't want to cut any closer. Yeah, let's see. We'll do what I didn't want to do, but we'll grab these and cut them, and we'll move them. Merge those, and then we'll grab a 2 by pyramid here. And so see, this will cut into our panel. That's why you got to kind of be careful of that. So one thing you can do to fix that is, so you don't want to cut in your panel there often, because what would happen is you'd lose this section of your panel to put a 2 by in. So what I'll often do is I'll actually just drag all these windows forward one and all the roof. And I'll move the roof line up 1 block like this, cut that, move you 1 up like that. And then we should be able to put in 2 by panels here. But a lot of it's practice and trial and error. So you now have, okay, we're starting to get the shape of the nose right. And you have to think, how long do I want this nose? And how am I going to convert it? If I did this, you look at the side of the 2s. The 2s are already 1 bys, and then we have to go to 2 bys. Let's see how it looks. It's probably going to look a little bit too beaky, so you have to kind of decide, how beaky do I want this to look? Do I want it to look like a really fast beaky plane like this? You can even fix the beak a little bit, going like that, and then going right down to a 1 and put like a radome on there. So this is going to be more of a beaky plane. I tend, like my faster jets, I'll go beaky. But you have to kind of be careful with beaky looks because they look a little bit too pointed. But like a fast jet can take a beak on it, like so. And then generally they are flatter on the bottom and slope more on the top. So let's finish off the beak. So this is going to be too beaky probably. This is going to be a little bit sharp. So what I generally do is I don't go into 4s. What I'll do is I'll stick with 2s. And I like to kind of have a more rounded front. So if you want it a little bit more beaky, you can put a 2 by 4. But you can go right to, what do you call it? It's there. Go right to 2 bys, and you notice these turn into 1s. That's why I like the 2 bys, is they convert into 1s. The 2 by 2s. All right, and then, so you're starting to get a good rounded shape there. Do 1 by. Some people like to do that like staggered look. I don't like that. So personally, I don't do the staggered look much. And then you have to decide when you're going to want to come with, like, I usually do one section is going to be flat blocks. So what I'll do is, let's decide I don't want to flat block it yet. Let's make a more rounded kind of airliner modern look. So we'll go 1 extra set. And we'll round out the top of this a little bit. And then what we want to do is I like to do a flat section. You don't have to do a flat section, but I usually do. And then we're going to want to go down. And so now that I'm using this section of 1 blocks, I can go back to 2s if I wanted. So this can be a little bit hairy sometimes doing this because you have to be able to mate it up properly, but it's practice. You start getting used to it. So like that there is going to mate fine with 2s. You can see the 2s convert into 1 bys like so. And then you can see if this is coming in too fast for you. So like that is meeting up pretty nicely there. And so you start to get the cockpit in. Now, some people will do this thing where they stagger. I'm not a huge fan of it. Like, what I mean by stagger is, like, Jan does this a lot. It's just not my favorite. Like, they'll come in here and they'll do, to try to shape it a little, they'll do something like this where they go like this. I'm not a huge fan of this. It just kind of fattens things out. And so like what I want to do is I want to make the bottom, so it'll go one more down on the bottom for shapeliness. And so it depends on how you want to end it. Do you want to end it a little bit more rounded? Do you want to end it a little bit more flat? So I'm going to round it a little bit. So you go another set of 2s. And then you have to think, like, the tail is tough. So you have to think about how am I integrating this into the tail? So there is the rounded bottom a little bit there. So how round I want the bottom. One of the things you need to think about is landing gear. So if you're going to put in a nose wheel, you've now committed to putting your nose wheel in here underneath the seats. So that's a problem. So what I usually do is, if we look at some of my other noses, so like this nose here, a big reason why this one's shaped a little bit rounder is to fit the nose wheel in here. So you notice here I go 2-bys, and then I do vertical 2-bys. That gives me the height I need. Then I go single block layer, and then I go vertical 2-bys again. Then I go 1-bys. And the whole reason I'm doing that is to give me enough vertical room to fit in a nose wheel. And I also like to, I often will fuel either in the wings or under the belly. So like on this VTOL has that tall nose again, but a little bit different shaping. And I do that to put in a nose wheel, but also my fuel on this one is underneath the deck of the plane. And the reason for that is I wanted one thick wings. You know, like one of my, if you want to do big ones, let's do cargo. So here's like the cargo VTOL. So this has a more of an airliner type of a nose on it. And so this really extends out. This goes, again, because of the windows, we only have one angle on the windows, essentially a 45. There are 2x2s here, 2x2s here. They meet into vertical 2x2s to give it some height. And then these are, what are these? Vertical 2x2s there and there. Then I do a double line, a double flat line here. And then I go vertical 2s, flat 2s on that. And that gives me a nice rounded belly by doing 2-bys. If I did 1s, it would cut in a little bit faster. And as you can see, that's so that this one has an enormous nose wheel on it. I needed space on that. And then it's tough sometimes to integrate your wings. So you want to kind of just plug your wing into the where you want it and then either build a hump or something. This has a hump because that's extra fuel in there. So I did a hump on that one. And then I'll often put on hips if I'm going to do a cargo plane because I need it to sit low. And so I need short, stubby wheels. Tails are tough. You got to be careful with tails because you notice I have 2-bys, 1-bys, 2-bys, and I need them to all meet up, and that's problematic. So hopefully that's a little bit helpful with some tips on trying to get fuselages built. Let's read some chat. Yeah, so cockpit, like I said, start with the box, work with the windows, but it's all practice. You know, check some shapes. Okay, I didn't like that. For example, that one I just showed, the one I quickly built, it was too squat. It wasn't going to have enough space for a nose wheel. That's fine if you don't plan on having retractable gear. If you have retractable gear, so like this one, if you notice, I go 2x2, 2x2. I double the 2x2 up. I don't go as vertical, and the reason is I wanted this to have kind of a flatter nose. If you look at the stall, I wanted this. This is a much slower plane. This only goes like or a little less than 200 knots. So this has a fatter, less sharp nose on it. And this one, I went vertical 2x2s to try to get that extra height. So right there, that's 5 blocks high doing this section. So that's kind of how I like to do it. Do a 2x2 flat, do a 2x2 vertical, do a gap line, and that will allow you to get a nice rounded nose. And then do verticals again, and then you want to figure out how you want to finish this. I often will go to 1-bys to help me finish the tail. 1-bys will help you finish out the tail. So it's all just practice, but I highly recommend practice if you want to get better at anything, any fuselages or anything. Yeah, there was a guy, it was an interesting. I'm reading Citrus comment. Citrus wrote a break can be good sometimes. So the nice thing is, there's a guy. He did this. He makes these machines out in the woods. So he lives out in the woods. He's kind of a weirdo with that, but he made like a washing machine in the woods. And so like he uses river water to turn the washing machine. So he has like water wheels that turn the washing machine, and has belts and pulleys that turn the drum. And he had a good tip. He says, every once in a while break and go to a different project. And the reason is you start getting really excited on working on a project, and when you get to the point where you don't want to work on that project anymore, you shouldn't, because it becomes work. And so that's like I was getting annoyed by the bearing panel, so went and did something else, and now I'm more energized to go back to it. And so that was a good tip by that guy. So let's go ahead and the physics sensor. I think the physics sensor was fine. Let's try it. Let's try the physics sensor and see if that was working, because remember, it was an autopilot issue, it wasn't physics sensor. So let's see if I can get this physics sensor to work again. Okay, I'm plugging in the right ones. Let's see if I can do the physics sensor. This will cut out a lot of nodes. That was it was something I haven't really played with yet, is the physics sensor much. And the reason is I have to rebuild all my panels. So I'm trying to do it as I rebuild some panels to convert them over. Because, like, for example, I need 2 nodes just for GPS. I can get rid of those now with the physics sensor. And so that is really helpful if I can get it to work. But I'm annoyed that they didn't do good documentation. Like, and they don't need super good documentation. They just need to, like, this thing has 100 channels. People are going to be like, dude, you didn't label your channels. All you have to do is like, dude, label some channels, man. Let's go 635. In the new player career build series, I'm going to go into a bearing panel. So maybe I'll try to get into things like a little Lua in that. I'll make a small Lua panel like this for that. But my preferred method is this bearing panel. You notice I have no moving map in this. Guess what? In airliner, you don't have a moving map. Every airliner I've flown, no moving map. And you don't need it. You're on an instrument flight plan. You don't need a moving map. That is something for people who don't understand instruments, which is fine. That's the vast majority of people. But for me personally, I prefer a system like this. I was talking yesterday when I did the live stream why I don't automate my fuel crossfeed. Because I get bored. If I'm flying up to the Arctic, I have nothing to do, right, for 15 minutes. So you know what I do? I'm like, okay, I'm 50 pounds off. I'm going to crossfeed. Like right now, I'm off crossfeed, and that's why I put in some of these systems. It's like I'm bored doing, like, if I had a moving map, I've never built an autopilot that's multi-positional. I have to, every time I get close to my next waypoint, I have to put in another waypoint. And the reason is it gives me something to do. And so that's why I do it this way, is because I get so bored. Let's do nav, radio. Okay, this works. So 179, is it working? No, this isn't working. That's wrong. All right, it should be right here. All right, that is wrong. Okay, something's wrong with the physics sensor. So the physics sensor screwed up. All right, 635, 500 is Harrison. So we know the numbers for 500 is for Harrison as well. So Harrison is 115, 7.8 nautical miles. 115, 7.8 nautical. So 7.8 sounds right. 7.8 sounds right. 115, even 115 sounds right. Something is up with this, though. Let's go fly over there and see what the hell's up with it. I'll read a little bit of chat before I go do it. Yeah, this is going to be, I needed something for career build series. That's why I started building this VTOL was, I'm so sick of helicopters. And the reason I'm sick of helicopters, like, I've made some cool helicopters. I enjoy them, but it's the meta, and I just don't do metas. And so, a lot of people, they get stuck in the meta. And so I like to do in some of my gameplay show that you don't have to always do the meta. You can do something unique and different. And so it's like I've had a ton of missions come up in career build series that are all rescue missions, and I don't want to go take out a helicopter to do it. this is a VTOL, which of course, it's kind of like a helicopter, that's a VTOL, but I'd rather do, something else to do it. So building something like this, I'd prefer to take like a VTOL and be able to land it like a plane and fly it like a plane and not fly it like a helicopter. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll do, what's altitude? Let's go 1,000 feet. And let's go ahead, put altitude and altitude hold and... All right, it should be navigating to this... okay, so it's navigating to where it thinks the GPS is. Where it thinks Harrison is, but it's wrong. So I don't know what is up with this physics sensor. Does anyone know this physics sensor? I used Katydid in one of the live streams just to go land on the on Triton. Triton's coming back. Katydid will come back because Katydid's already set up to work with Triton. Hummingbird's probably coming back. So the plan with Career Build Series is I'm starting to get enough money to buy this island. This is 100 grand. I can launch Triton in the cave, and I can build a base up here and here. And so what I'm going to do is build a helipad, build a house, and I'm going to operate out of here from now on. And so, yeah, this autopilot's screwed up because of the physics sensor. I'm going to look up on the old Google machine. If any of you guys can find all the channels for the physics sensor, I'm going to look too. Storm works. Physics sensor channels. Yeah, so I'm trying to find out what the hell the right... So, like, I'm on the GeoMeta bug tracker. Alright. So, there's a bunch of things. People are converting this over. So, I think it's a Euler problem. I don't know what that is. It's EULER. It's... that, see, the physics sensor needs to be converted over to essentially what we're normally using. So, so that's obnoxious. I'm just going to go, I'm not going to integrate the physics sensor into a bunch of stuff yet. It's just, it's becoming a pain, and I don't want to deal with it right now. I will eventually learn some more of the physics sensor, but like I said, it's, we were talking before, it's good to take a break when something's annoying you, and I'm just really over the physics sensor and being annoying, so I'm just going to skip it for now, and I know this works, and I don't want to have to, especially on a live stream, refigure out how all this works, because it's not fair to you guys to watch me just pull my hair out. You might enjoy me pulling my hair out, trying to figure out how the friggin' physics sensor works, but again, that's a problem. I don't complain about the devs doing bad documentation, but like, look at this thing. It doesn't tell me any of the number channels, and it says respective order composite channels. It's like, I just put in X position, Y position, and it's not giving me a proper GPS positioning. It's giving me a GPS position, but it's wrong. And so that's obnoxious. So is the Z position supposed to be something different now? I don't know what that's about. Z position should be verticality. You know what? I wonder if that's what they're doing. Is it XZ now instead of XY? That's what's friggin' annoying, man. Is the so it has X, Y, Z. Usually Y is vertical, and then so is it XZ now? And that's just, they just added confusion without clearing it up, which is obnoxious. All right, so the bearing panel's in. Autopilot's working for the most part. All right, let's do a deep dive into the autopilot. I might regret this. So this autopilot needs to be tweaked to do vertical flight. So let's do a save. I haven't done a save in a little while. All right, let's go and we'll load up the Katydid. I know Citrus will want to see the Katydid anyway, but Katydid's autopilot. I need to get this part here is for station keeping. And so what are you reading here? I don't have a station keeping node on here anymore. Crap. That's obnoxious. Um, that's a pain. So this is all the stuff for station keeping. All right, let's not go on a station keeping yet. Let's keep it simple. Let's work on the regular autopilot, and I'll do station keeping. So station keeping is you put in a GPS coordinate, and it will hover over that GPS coordinate, and will pitch to go forward, back on one axis, and it will yaw. It will roll to go the other one. I'm just reading a couple things. MCSFS Gamer, just go ahead and check out my modular engine tutorials. Yeah, that's why I constantly try to make new videos and do my, like, if I have a modular engine tutorial that's too old, I try to do a new one so that, you know, I can kind of steer people to newer stuff so when things change. Yeah, I would never use any of the stuff the devs put out for tutorials or for examples. Like, if I were them, I would just kill the tutorial because I think it confused more people. That's why I started the new player career build series, is just to try to give people a better tutorial. So MCFS Gamer, if you have some requests for the new player career build series, go ahead and just put them in the comments of those videos. I'm looking for more things people are actually need to learn. As you know, I'm just reading some of the chat. Yeah, I haven't changed much on Katydid. It could use an update. Yeah, Mr. Jersey has some good tutorials. I certainly used a bunch of those when I was first starting, but I started to learn, especially aircraft. I know a lot more than he did, and so it was, I started kind of doing my own stuff on that. But definitely, he was definitely helpful with a lot of that stuff. I might change something right here. This one angle here on this wing, like I've talked in videos before about how, like, you're so intimate with your build and you know where everything is that you start getting annoyed by little parts that nobody else sees, like that. Like, yeah, this isn't gonna look good if I do this either, I don't think. Yeah, it doesn't look like that. Is this part here? This one little piece here has been annoying the hell out of me, and I haven't done anything with it. All right, so what do I want to do next? Autopilot. We need to work on. So essentially, what happens is when this is okay, this would work. Let me see. Yeah, so this should work in vertical mode. Let me see if this works in vertical mode. This should work with the autopilot plugged in. The way I set this up, it should already work with the autopilot mode. All right. So I have to do a couple things with vertical mode because, for example, the one thing it's not going to do, we need to fix. So it's going to try to pitch for altitude. So at a certain point, this needs to stop pitching for altitude. It needs to go, yeah, it needs to stop pitching for altitude at a certain point. It needs to start using collective, which I don't think I have collective in here. So I wonder if I can just add the collective in. Let's try that. So let's add a collective node. Let's do number, output, collective. All right. To gyro. All right. So that is in. Where did that just spawn? Right here. Okay, here's my spawn over here. All right, so we need to do collective. So collective is coming right off of the seats. Yeah, collective comes right off the seats. So where are my seats? Yeah, I should change up somehow how this works here, but let's do it right now. Let's go. So this is going to be composite input seat combiner. All right, so seat combiner. So if you look over here, what I have is I'm actually calling in a role from the seat selector. I don't know why I did that initially, but I did. So what I'm going to do here is, so I'm going to go to my seat combiner, and I'm going to change this over. So we do seats combined go out. These all go out. What is this? That's buttons, and then this will be axes. Okay, those go there. So what channels are we on? 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, are these okay? They are already. All right, I already did it. Okay, that's fine. So I did start updating this panel. All right, 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, that's fine. All right, so we want to go seats combined to the AP panel. All right, good. And then, so right now I take in an actual raw data from it, and I needed that for other things, but I don't need it anymore, so. 2, 3, and 4. All right. All right, so what is, let's see. Roll is AD, that is 1, so that goes there. All right, and then 2. 2 is pitch. Where's pitch? Pitch right here. Pitch from the seat selector, that's going. This will let me cut down a bunch of panels. All right, and then 3 is yaw. Where's yaw? Yaw is right here. And where does my yaw come in? Where is my yaw come in? My yaw is different. Raw from seat selector right there. Okay. Yaw is right there. All right, yaw from seat selector goes there, and then collective is 4. All right, good. So this is going to let me cut a bunch of these out. So pitch to gyro. Ooh, that's why. Let me see what I was doing this. No, that's fine. Okay, pitch to gyro. It's the inputs. God damn it, what am I doing here? Okay, it's going, that's why. It's going to the autopilot, so we're good. Then autopilot's going there, so we're fine. I'm just trying to figure out how I had this set up here. All right, we're good. So let's see. I change how I do some of these things, and I gotta go back and fix them all. I screwed that up. Okay. I know what I'm doing wrong. I'm in a different panel I thought I was in. All right, so what I need to do is where are we at here? Pitch from seat selector, roll from seat selector, yaw from seat selector. All right, good. So those are now fixed. All right, good. So that's fixed. Sorry, altitude, altimeter, compass. All right, good. So that will shrink these panels up a little bit, and I don't need as much crap in them because it's tough to build small builds with such huge panels. So C combiner, where's C combiner? Right there. And then this will go roll, pitch, yaw, up, down. And I can cut this panel way down there by doing that. And now I got to make sure everything's hooked back up correctly. That's fine. That's fine. All right. So that was just a bunch of work to try to get. Essentially, I'm taking the seats and then I'm recoding them back into composite and then sending them the autopilot encoded as composites. So just a bunch of work to get rid of nodes, essentially. All right, nice. Let's see. What else do I want to do here? All right, so we need to work on... What just happened? Oh, I didn't update this. All right, that screwed me really bad. Okay, let's fix it. That screwed me up. I'm bopping around from panel to panel and I'm forgetting to save it. So take me a second to fix them. I now know where they are, so. Because sometimes I haven't touched these panels in a while, and so I forget where things are. So 1 is roll. 2 is pitch. And so what this is doing is it's adding my pitch from my seat to the autopilot controls, essentially, so that I can override it. All right, and then 4 is, this is the collective on the rotors. So I'm very hesitant to use this. Very hesitant to use this friggin' physics sensor, I'm telling you that much. All right, set VSI I'm not using anymore. Where's set VSI? Set VSI is now going to be linear speed. All right, linear speed is set VSI, which I think I had it up here. Yep. All right, so we have linear speed, and so what's going to happen is when we go... Actually, I don't need that in here. That's done in the VTOL controller. I know it's confusing, but I'm just... I have to think out loud a bunch to try to get this stuff fixed. Because I'm trying to think of like the problems 5 steps ahead. And so I'm thinking about how's my panel work, trying to remember how my panel works without having to go into the panel to try to save me a little time. All right. All right, so let's go in the VTOL controller, and I need to look at that. So here's the VTOL controller. So I'll go over this really quick for some people who are interested in VTOL stuff. So essentially what's happening is I have a linear speed. If it's less than 45 meters per second, so around 90 knots, it's going to allow me to control my aircraft with the rotors. Otherwise, I use the control surfaces because I have enough airspeed to do that. We have RPS. If the RPS is greater than 2, that just it makes it so that these I can't operate the rotors if I'm sitting on the ground idled. So that's pretty simple. All right, and then what we do is we have pitch. So my pitch is pretty simple. So I have pitch on my left rotor on my port side. I have pitch on my starboard side. When I pitch, I want to take the left rotor and I want to go forward. And I want the right rotor to go forward. That will pitch my craft forward. When I want to yaw, I want the left rotor to pitch forward and I want the right rotor to pitch backwards. That's going to turn me. And so what I do here is I do X plus Y. And for the other one, I do X plus a negative Y. So that is my right rotor will go back to yaw right. And so it inverts the number. And then what I do here is a multiplier. So I'm doing, when we're going faster than 90 knots, it starts to slowly increase or slowly decrease down to 0. And so what happens is my pitch and my yaw are added together and go out to my propeller pitch. When I go over 90 knots, it's now going to multiply it by eventually 0, and then that's going to give 0 pitch. So once I get up to speed, it's not going to pitch anymore. So what I need here is, so this port and starboard collective here needs to then do autopilot. So, okay, good. So that's what that's going to read. So I need to go, where are we at here? Gyro collective. So that needs to go into autopilot, out gyro collective. All right, that's fine. So we have a window in here. So this should work fine by itself. I just need to fix the autopilot panel to do to hold altitude essentially. So let's go in here and then I am going to use linear speed. So if the linear speed is less than 45, so let's see, rotor cut in, control cut in. So it's probably confusing right now, but I'll kind of go over it in a second. So that's this. So when we slow down, my wings and my control surfaces are no longer to be working all that well. So I need to start to use the rotors. And so part of my altitude hold is presently what happens when I do my altitude hold is it's going to pitch. That doesn't work anymore once I slow down. So once I get slow, I need to start to add in collective. All right, so I need to do a multiplier. So let's do a couple up-down counters here. And so we'll do increment 0.001. Trying to think. Trying to think what to do here. I want to trace where this goes here. So this should go pitch. Pitch goes to the gyro. Gyro goes to the... All right, so the pitch fins, that's fine. And then this is going to go to the, right here, the pitch on here. So let's try something. This may not work. So essentially what's happening is the pitch is coming in. Right here, port pitch comes in. That's going to pitch us through the gyro. Okay. Trying to think the best way to do this here. I think it should come in through the autopilot, but I have to figure it out. It's confusing me because the I'm trying to decide what speed I want to change from using the actual physical control surfaces on the plane to going to the rotors, and I want it to be kind of smooth. So what I'll do here is, all right, so I need to do something in the autopilot to make this work. So right here so what I'm going to do is here, pitch to gyro. I need to do it right here. All right, so we're going to go ahead and do an up-down counter here. And it will be 0.001. It will be enabled. It will be 1 to 0. It will be start of 0. So what this is going to do is this is going to give me less and less pitch effectiveness to my rotors as we slow down more. All right. Yeah, that's fine. All right, so then what I want to do here is I'm going to change the function over. I know this is probably super duper confusing. It's confusing me a little bit. So it's going to be x, and it's going to be times y, negative x times y, negative x times y. Okay, so this goes in here now, and then y is going to be the multiplier. And y is here, the multiplier. And so what's going to happen is as I slow down, if we're less than 90, I want to start to decrease this so that my pitch is no longer controlling my altitude. So what happens when this is in plane mode, the pitch control surfaces on my plane will pitch to maintain altitude. When I go into vertical speed mode, i.e. when I go lower than 90 knots, I want to start to reduce the effectiveness of the control surfaces and increase the effectiveness of the actual rotors. And likely I'm going to shut the autopilot off at some point before this anyway. So that is going to count down. And then if it is not less than, it's going to count up. All right. So that sets that up. There. Okay, good. So that is set up now. So that will cut out that. Next I need to do this is, so collective, I need to start putting in collective. So collective is number 4. Number 4. All right, and what I'm going to do here is, that goes there. Okay, that's fine like it is. All right, and so what I'm going to do here is my altitude is going to go in here, and it's going to go, that's good like that. And then what I need is another one of these, but it's inverted. So it will be not goes to the bottom, yes goes to the top. This one is, so this should start at 0. This one should start at 1. This one should count up. So what's going to happen here is this is going to allow my collective to take over my altitude duties while I'm in vertical mode. All right, a little bit confusing, but it's going to work eventually when I get it all figured out. All right, and then this will be x, negative x times y, plus z, and z is going to be 4. All right, I already put a 4 there. All right, so we have 2 of them there. All right, and that's going to be 4. This should go to collective gyro. It's going to be a miracle if this works on the first try. So let's try it. And I need to hook in linear speed onto this panel now. Where is my linear speed? No, fluid, where's linear speed? Linear speed, you're in here somewhere. Up here, I think. Linear speed right here. All right, that plugs in. Let's go try this. The likelihood this works on the first try is probably near 0. So the whole point is this is challenging because I have to convert from pitching, controlling the altitude, to the rotors controlling the altitude. So I need to do it at the right point or else it's going to act funky. All right, let's go. Heading is going to be 180. Altitude will be 2500. I'm going to do a real quick test to just check out the rotors should now control the altitude. All right, so we're going to go ahead and 0 out. I'll set the brake even. All right, I want altitude hold and heading hold, and I'm going to go thrust up, press the autopilot on. All right, so currently it's still pitching me. So can I override the collective? No, I can't. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut the engine off, and I'm going to go stand on the wing. And I'm going to go see what the rotors are doing, because it should be giving it a positive collective value. .5. So this is when the autopilot becomes a pain to do. I have another VTOL, but I want to start afresh to do a better panel. All right, let's get in there and see what's up. I should be able to test this in the workbench too. Make sure these are all good. All right, those are all good. This is now. Check everything in here. All right, so we go from the seat combiner. Channel 4 is the up-down arrows, so that is the collective. Then we're going to go PID controller. We'll read a negative x times y. Y is the multiplier. So if we're going to start out at 1, so it's going to be the whatever this is times 1 plus z. Z is my own inputs from the seat combiner. So that's fine. That goes out to collective to gyro. You know what? I didn't plug it in. No wonder it didn't work. I didn't plug it in. So this here, collective to gyro, never got plugged in. Okay. That would be it right there. Up, down. That'll do it. Okay. That's what did it. All right. So, you know, almost 5,000 hours. I still do this silliness. All right, let's try to test it in the workbench here. So if we turn the systems on, let's go check the rotors. So you notice the rotors have some pitch on them. Let's check. So collective, as you can see, is at 0.5. That's working. All right, now what I want to do is I want to put in an altitude of, let's say, 1,000 feet. I want to do autopilot altitude hold. So that should be triggering the collective. What's it doing? Likely, it looks like it's backwards. Okay, it is, the number went down instead of going up, so it looks like it's backwards. So I want to go back in the autopilot. And right here, I'm going to change this negative x to an x. And at this speed, the pitch should be doing nothing on the blades. So, altitude is going to be 1,000. And we want to go systems on, autopilot, altitude hold. Let's see if this is now, okay, good. So this looks better now. So if we look, the collective should be positive. So collective's at 1. Perfect. Okay. So the p-value is probably going to need to be tuned, definitely, but we'll give it a look. All right, so let's go ahead and shut the autopilot off, and we'll fire up an engine. So I think that's, I've kind of got that licked now, or I've got it started. I need to tune it in, definitely. Let's taxi out. I'm going to do heading hold as well. All right, so it's not yawing properly. Okay, you know why? Because it's set to roll. It rolls to do the heading because of airplane mode, so I need to change it to yaw. So it's not bad. We're close. It's just a little bit wonky, but let's see if it stops at 1,000 feet. The roll needs to be tuned. The roll is overactive, as you can see. All right, so it's still climbing us. I'm gonna stop it at, what are we at, 600? Let's go to, oh, that's wrong. Let's go to 900. So that's, just cut it down so we don't have to wait as long. So all I really care about is this gonna level, let's go to 800. It should level off at 800. You can see it already, it's slowing down. So the roll needs some work. But looks like it's going to level off at 800. So we're holding a 180. So it works in vertical mode. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into horizontal mode quickly and see if it does something stupid. I'm waiting for it to make sure it stops around 800. The rolling is, so it's rolling to maintain the heading. That's why it's doing this. That's fine in airplane mode. It should roll to change heading. In vertical mode, it should yaw to change heading. So I need to do it so, same sort of thing, that as it slows down, it will start to reduce its reliance on pitch and it will go to yaw instead. All right, so we're leveling. See, we're leveled at 800. We're maintaining heading. I'm just going to press the 3 key to engage the ducted fans. And this should take over, and all the modes should automatically take over. Okay, the altitude is going to be off because I have to tune it. But it's maintaining heading now, and it's also, you see it's trying to correct the altitude variation. That's good. All right, now I'm going to press the space bar, and it should take over in vertical mode. So space bar is going to zero the thrust. It only takes over when it gets below 90 knots. As you can see, it's 90 knots. We're below 90 knots now. It's descending back down to 800 feet, and it is leveling at, it's going down to 800 feet, and we're at 180. So this works. It just needs to be tuned. It's too rambunctious. All right, so perfect. This is working well. So, you know, it was kind of pulling hair out there for a little bit. I was trying to think ahead how my panels talk to each other. That's why I was kind of like just quiet and just thinking for a minute, because I have to think about how this panel interacts with this panel, interacts with the gyro, because the hierarchy is kind of, it works well, but it's complicated. It goes from the seats to here, to the autopilot, then it goes to the gyro, then it goes to the VTOL controller, then it goes out. And so it's going through panel, through panel, through panel, through panel, and at any point I need to make these corrections, but I want to be able to use this on a different vehicle and not have it be screwed up. And so I have to kind of think way ahead. All right, so that's good. So collective is working. It's working fine. That is all good. The issue I'm having here is, so currently what happens is, I'll talk about how my system works here. So if you look here, roll tilt is what controls the yaw, and that's for coordinating your turns. In a real, say, jet, you bank to turn, and you just use your rudder to coordinate your turn. You don't use your rudder to actually turn. You're using your rudder to stay coordinated. And so what I do is I use the roll tilt. And as our roll tilt increases, we do roll tilt so what is it? X is our yaw from me. So that's from the cockpit. So X is the yaw from the cockpit plus, and then I do Y. Y is the roll tilt, and then I do a multiplier. So it's times 2.5. And so that is, and actually what I'm going to do is change this. So it'll be property number now. And this is going to be the yaw coordination. Yaw coordination. So instead of times 2.5, it's going to be times Z. And that's going to multiply that. So I can change how strong my yaw coordination is. And it was 2.5. All right, and so that then does that. So what happens when it's in airplane mode, as it banks, it reads the roll tilt, and it gives it enough yaw to keep the turn coordinated. The problem is when I'm in vertical flight mode, I don't want to maintain my heading with roll. I want to maintain it with yaw. And so what I want to do is, let's see. So my yaw doesn't have any PID control right now. So what I'm going to do is, let me check really quick here. So this is the old P yaw here. So this comes up here and it goes into this value here. And then this adds, what is this down here doing? Oh, okay. This is the so this is the autopilot component here. So this is the autopilot there. So this is yaw autopilot. This is yaw roll autopilot. Okay. So I should be able to pull off of here. Okay, so I can pull off of here to go there. So that's coming up to here. Okay, right here. That adds into that. That's fine. So it should be, trying to think what the hell I'm doing here now. I'm trying to decide how I want to fix this. I don't know. Trying to decide how I want to fix this now. Because it's this node right here, but I need to, so I can still do that if I add that in. This one I might need to just uncage this a little bit. It might just be too small of a value. Okay. I'll have to figure this out. This is kind of a problem, but it's not a huge problem. It still works. All right. So right here, I'm going to change this vertical speed. So this is my vertical speed, max and min right here. So I'm going to change this clamp up to a function. And this is going to allow me to tune easier. So I keep trying to make my panels easier and easier to work with. So we'll do clamp, be X, and then it's going to be comma, Y, comma, Z. Okay. And so what this is going to allow me to do is, so I go in here, and this is replacing this clamp here for the pitch. And this is how I set my vertical speed limitations. And so now, instead of having to set them in the microcontroller, I can set them with property values. So this here is going to be minimum vertical speed, minimum vertical speed. And so currently it was at 10. I want to go -5. That's 5 meters per second descent rate. And then this one is going to be max vertical speed. That's going to be 5. So I'm making it half as sensitive. And so that will allow me to more easily tune this. All right, good. Why is this vertical? Okay. What? Why is this not connected? What is this all about? Okay, what the hell? Something's up. Oh, physics. Okay, because I plugged in the physics sensor. I got all confused. All right, so that's plugged in now. All right, good. All right, so that should work. Let's go ahead and so what that's going to allow me to do is when I click on here, if you look down here, it allows me to set how fast my my vertical and descent rate and ascent rates are going to be. All right, let's go ahead and get started here. Cool thing with this game is you can, I'm holding down multiple keys at once. A lot of games don't let you do that. So like I can set in my heading and do something else at the same time. So heading's 180, altitude's 1000. So we're gonna just do a real quick autopilot test here. And we're gonna put it through its paces and see where the deficits are. So the thing I just changed was the, I changed the, how quickly it will climb and descend. That's what that whole formula was I changed it from 10 meters per second to 5 meters per second climb rate. So I like taking off like a plane too, so I'll take off like a plane, put the gear up. I want to do altitude, heading, hold, autopilot. All right, so beautiful. So if you look last time, when we were doing our climbs, they were up at like 25, 30 degrees. Now they're down to about 10 to 15 degrees. That's more realistic where they should be. So that is much better. You know, I tune each plane. They should behave differently. They should have different climb rates, different descent rates. Can somebody just type something in chat? I want to make sure the chat's not broken. I haven't seen a chat message in a little while, so I don't know if you guys just got quiet or if the messages. Ah, good, thank you. It's supposed to be blah blah blah, like I'm doing. All right, so we're on a heading of 180. We're way over. Our altitude needs to be fixed. That's a p-value issue. I need to fix that. P-value tuning is always fun. All right, so let's go. We're gonna do a heading of 270. And so we want to make the autopilot work as much as possible. So we're going to go heading of 270, climb, maintain 5,000 feet. And I'm going to give it multiple things. So notice Because I changed that from 10 to 5, it's no longer giving me an insane climb rate. Yeah, I just want to make sure. I sometimes, you know, the scroll will screw up and I'll have to fix it. All right, I'm just checking something here. So, let's see. 5 times 3.28 equals, that's 16 feet per second times 60. So that's 984 meters per second. It's not bad. Or feet per minute. All right, so here we are. We're leveling off at 5. We turn to 270. That works. Okay, I'm going to hit the space bar. This is challenging to do with the VTOL to not have it screw up. So I just hit the space bar. So it is turning into VTOL mode. And it's see if it behaves itself. It is. It's beautiful, man. This is really working well now. This is one reason why I start over new panels pretty much every plane. I might use a couple that are the same, but like, especially the control panels, this is something I recommend you do. It takes forever, but as you get better, your panels get better and things behave better. And so the reason I recommended that is it would have, you know, it would have made a lot of sense for me just to go and start with, say, the Hummingbird's panels, because the Hummingbird is also a VTOL, but the Hummingbird has some stability issues. And so those stability issues would have been built into this plane. By starting over fresh, I can build it without having those stability issues. And so see how it's rocking? It's still trying to control my heading with roll. So I will change that, but I also need to add in station keeping, so that will be fixed. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm going to change heading and I'm going to change altitude while we're in vertical mode. So I want to go heading of 180, altitude of 1,000 feet. And we'll see how much it freaks out. So yeah, see, it's still trying to change heading with roll. That's why it's misbehaving. So what will happen is I'll make it so that when I go into vertical mode, it's going to have the multiplier on the desired roll tilt. It's going to reduce that. And so it's going to do the same thing, an up-down counter that will finally reduce down to 0 and it'll multiply it to 0. That's my new method, and it gives you really super smooth transitions from vertical, or say I'm using pitch to I'm using collective. And because what it's doing is, instead of using a numerical switch box where it goes from, hey, you're now controlling with your propellers, to nope, you're now controlling with your wings, and it's very sudden and abrupt and jarring. What it does is they both count opposite. So one will be like, okay, now you're using 90% control surface and 10% rotor. Okay, now it's 20-20, or it's 20-80, you know, 70-30, you know, 60-40, 50-50. And it goes opposite, and that makes them smooth transitions. So nice. So we're 180, and it's going to take us 100 years to descend because the collective never goes negative. It only goes to 0. It doesn't go negative. So the propellers will not go into negative to suck me down. They'll just let me fall down, and that's going to be slow, so that's not a big deal. I'm going to read some chat. What are you building, Citra? Still that truck? I saw you posted your truck there for the challenge. That'll be good to look at. Yeah, I decided to open it up, but you know, this is a quicker challenge. So some Thermite asked for me to open up the submissions by tomorrow, so I did that. So, you know, I usually don't like to open up too much. Jersey used to get this, like you'd see on Jersey challenges, like it would be a month-long challenge, and somebody would post something in the first hour, and usually they had only worked on it for an hour. And so I usually like to let you guys work a little bit before you do it, because one thing is, like, a lot of people they'll think it's done. Like, and I don't mean like this was an easier challenge, but like say it's a super complicated challenge, like a VTOL that needs to have 8 engines and it needs to go from here to the Arctic on 1,000 liters, and it's super complicated, and you'd still get somebody who posted their build in an hour. It's like, dude, you know. And so yeah, I like to leave a little bit of time for people, because sometimes people they'll be like, oh, I submitted it, I won't go back and work on it. Like I used to do that sometimes, and then you know, a week in, you're like, oh crap, I should go back and work on it, you know. And so it's kind of just Let's see. Just reading some stuff. Luckily, my phone doesn't ring much. Ewan Edelson, I pronounced that right. Go ahead. I'm check out the new player career build series, and I'm looking for people to put in the comments of the new player career build series things they would like to be explained. You know, that's something I'm looking for in the new player career build series. One of the reasons why I haven't put out an episode is I try to see what people actually want before I put out another one instead of me just guessing. So make sure if you're confused by anything, Ewan, that you go ahead and put it in the comments of those videos. Oh, that's nice. The Peterbilt, yeah. Let's see what I'm at on hours right now. I'm at 4,711, almost 12 hours. All right, so this is working really well. As you can see how long it's going to take to descend because of that. Because, like I said, the collectives never go negative. They only go to halfway. So let's do, all right, so I'm going to tax the system as much as I can. So right now we're facing, what's our heading? 180. So I'm going to go 010. I'm going to descend down to 500 feet, which is close to the water, and I'm going to jam it into forward flight mode, and I'm going to see if it behaves itself. So we're going to go heading of 010, enter, altitude 500, enter, and I'm going to press the ducted fans all at once and see if it freaks the hell out. Freaked a little bit, not too bad. Nope, it actually didn't freak out at all. Went right to 010. Ooh, altitude screwed up though. Altitude is altitude just being slow. Okay, that's fine. Altitude is just being slow. Is it? Why is the altitude not working? What is up with altitude hold? Do I have a trim in there? I don't. Broke the altitude hold. That's interesting. I think I know what it is. Okay. This sometimes happens in game. So the plane wants to climb a lot. So what you do is, so right here, this -5 has to be -10. Okay. Yeah, often your descent rate has to be higher than your climb rate. So the other thing I'm doing that's kind of a pain is, so this is how I often have my autopilots work. It's worked well for me, but it's not perfect. And I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off, I think. So see this? I turn the auto hover on the gyro when I set my autopilot on. I don't think I'm going to do that anymore. But the problem is that screws up every one of my p-values. So let's do this. This is going to screw up all my p-values. I may regret this. Let's see. You know what? Let's hook this back up, and then we'll do this. All right, so what that does is when I turn on the autopilot, which is 9, it turns on the auto hover. And the whole reason for that is it turns on, it's like kicking on a stability system when I turn that on. It's going to be a pain to do it without it. Let's do without it for now. And so every p-value I have in here is now not going to work. So let's try it and see how bad it is. Everybody pray to Godzilla. This is going to be a mess. May his atomic breath bathe us in glory and not absolutely make this miserable. I've been kind of missing. I've been missing the Workbench podcast. I don't know why they stopped, but they stopped. You know, it was Endo's thing. It's up to, you know, of course, if he didn't want to do them anymore, it's up to him if he doesn't want to do them anymore. I was thinking of maybe doing a podcast, but I'd have to think about it. You know, it'd be another Friday podcast when the update comes out, talking about the update. I'd like it to be a kind of a positive experience. Maybe bring in some more people from the community, but it's like right now I have time, but you know, that may not always be the case either. All right, so this is potentially going to be a pain, this autopilot testing now, because I changed the way I'm working my autopilots. Heading 180. Altitude is going to be 5,000. Heading altitude mode selected. Let's take off. Positive rate gears coming up. I'm only running on one engine too. All right, everybody, talk to Godzilla. Ask for good things. Okay, so the p-value is way too high on that. P-value is way too high on that. Just going nuts. That's ugly. All right, so it really needs that auto hover to help it out. I'm gonna do this really quick. Let's go ahead and save this. All right, and so this is what I want to do. I want to look at my numbers and I want to compare them with. I know some of Jan's planes have really good p-value numbers. So p-yaw is at 0.03, d-yaw is 0.5. It's probably this d value that's screwing me. I'm going to check out these numbers. I'm going to compare them to Jan's. I just want to see what ballpark he's using. His system works a lot different than mine, but I kind of want to see ballpark numbers, what other people are using, and then I can kind of decide. So 0.1 for roll. 0.1, this would be yaw, actually. 0.1. Okay, and then what is my pitch? Pitch is running at a 0.06 for my final smoothing, and it's running at a 0.03 for that. All right. All right, so let's open up one of Jan's planes. I want to see just what ballpark number he's running on some of his stuff. I think I unsubscribed. I need to go resubscribe. I just want to see ballpark, how far off I am from other people's numbers. Sometimes it's helpful to do that. I'll go to one of Carnival's jets. Carnival's usually, they're a little bit overly stiff for me, but they usually work pretty well. So I'll look at that and see what value he's using for numbers. I really don't want to have to restart. There it is. Okay, I'm curious what autopilot numbers. That's Clara's HUD. Jet engine controller. I use just a 1 as my proportional. I use no other numbers and it works fine. I don't need the level of accuracy. All right, where are we at here? Control surfaces. So I'm just curious what he's using for numbers here. So that goes into stabilizer. All right, stabilizer. Let's see. I'm just trying to get a feeling for this. All right. All right. I don't think I'm gonna really get much ballparked on that. Let's see. Let's open it up. Let's see if I'm gonna keep doing it the way I've been doing it. Just it works pretty well. I don't have any issue with it, so I don't want to screw with it too much. There's no point in reinventing the wheel. It works. There's just a couple small errors that I need to fix on the way it works, but it's working pretty well. Okay, so let's work on the yaw control. All right, so presently the way this works is this is my yaw commander here. So it comes up from here, and this will give me yaw. And this then goes up to where? So this goes in, and it's, so I like doing double PIDs. It double smooths them. It smooths them twice. So you get a PID value, and it gives you a certain range, and then you smooth it again. All right, so the main issue I'm having is pitch is out of control. I don't know, man. Put a correction factor in there. Might do a correction factor. So let's get a, so I should have something called p-value somewhere in here, right here, p-value. Let's work on this node here and try to tune my p-value in. So currently it's at 0.06. All right, so I'm gonna go property number, let's see, final pitch, p-value. I'll do vertical speed. Vert, speed, p-value. So the way I do my altitude changes, which I think is a better way, is so you put in your desired altitude to your altimeter. It goes through UPHID, then it goes through here, and so that sets your maximum and your minimum vertical speed. So it says, hey, I want to go up and I want to go down, and it sets the maximum vertical speed you can go and the minimum vertical speed. Then it goes into this PID, and all that does is try to give you that vertical speed you asked for. So that's all it's doing. This one is trying to give you the vertical speed you asked for. And so that's what this is going to be. Was it 0.06? 0.06. All right, and so I'm trying to switch over all my cost numbers, property values slowly too. So update that. All right, now we're putting keypads on here. So this is getting to the point where it can go in the career build series. Like I can do everything I want with it. I want to get it smooth enough that it's not like, what the heck is it doing? So let's go to the p-value on this. And we need electricity. All right. So 0.06 is the number it starts with. So we're going to start with that value that we know works. And then we'll go from there. And I swore I wasn't going to do this, but like I said earlier in the video, I made it so that I made it so it's a complicated startup procedure before I finished all the panels I wanted to get done. I need to really tell myself, okay, you need to get in autopilot before you change everything, because it would have been, all I'd have to do is press the 6 key and we'd be off to the races, but... All right, 180, 5,000 feet. So what I'm trying to do is get this 5,000 feet to work right. Because it's currently, when it's in plane mode, it is not holding the altitude accurately enough for me. When it's in vertical flight mode, it's holding the altitude within 1 foot. And I would like the plane mode to hold the altitude within 1 foot as well. Here we go. Altitude hold, heading hold, autopilot's on. Oh my God, what are you doing, man? Click the autopilot off, you scum. What is it doing? 0.06? What is it doing? Okay. I need to go into vertical speed to fix this. If I go into vertical mode and I put on the autopilot, it will fix itself. Yeah, as you can see. So it fixed itself. That is just, I think, an issue I gotta fix. If it goes inverted too fast, the gyro goes nuts. All right, we're up to speed now. 0.06. Okay, see, now it's acting fine. What the hell? It was something with the, it didn't like it, but it's working fine now. All right, so it's turning to 180. It's climbing to 5,000. I'm gonna stop it at 4. All right, so see, it overshoots like crazy. And then let's see if it ever gets down to where it needs to go. So vertical speed is leveling. It's going a little bit slow. All right, let's go from 0.06 to 0.1. And there you see. See how sensitive it is? So 0.07. Don't flip. Yeah, it gets, when it finally flips, the autopilot doesn't know what to do. So I just pressed the space bar and it fixed itself again. So that's a nice safety feature. The space bar is like an auto stop, man. It's just like, nope, not misbehaving anymore. All right. So I definitely, this number has to be super tiny. I have to be very slow in my movements on this. I might bring up the D value. I try not to play with it too much. All right, so we're at 4.2. Let's go up to 0.075. All right, so it gave me more descent, but not enough. 0.09. All right, let's do an altitude down. Let's go down to 1,000 feet. Nuts. It goes nuts. Let's fix it. Let's go back to 0.06. I ran into this issue earlier. That's why it was at 0.06, was I did work on this before. So, I need to fix it. I'm inverted. Nope, I'm not inverted. I thought I was inverted for a second there. A little vertigo. All right, let's go start to increase it again. So 0.06, let's try to get this to behave itself. Why is it climbing? What the hell is it doing? I have no clue what it's doing. It's probably, I need to work on the D value. All right, so it's descending. All right, so let's leave 0.06 in there, and let's work on the D value. See if I can't get this tuned in. The problem is when I do multi-stage PIDs, I have to tune them all. And I actually don't. I'll explain why. So this PID here, I don't really need to tune all that precisely because all this is doing is it's giving me the vertical speed values. This is trying to maintain the vertical speed values. So that's P value there. 0.06 is fine. Let's try to work on just the D value and see what we can do here. So let's work on just D value there. Try to get up in the air quickly. And the only reason I'm doing this is, as you can see, it was holding me at 4,200 feet instead of 4,000 feet. I want it on the money. And I've been running with one engine the whole time. You know, I don't need two engines on this. So, you know, two engines will be for speed. One engine will be for efficiency. So this is going to start at 0. That's the D value. That's fine. 180. Let's go to 3,000. I don't need to climb too high. All right, so start with a 0 D value, and then I will fix it when I get in the air. Alright, pause brake gear's coming up, autopilot's coming on. Alright, so it should be going to 180, it is. Thank you. Your citrus, let me see. I'll check up on the chat, I've been in chat. Yeah, it's definitely research. Godzilla would be cool, yeah. I might actually play against one of the monsters if they had Godzilla. Yeah. There's certainly a contingent who are just always fixed multiplayer. So let's go 0.1. Please don't be too high of a number. We're going to start with very small numbers in the D value. 0.2. Try 1. See? That's why I want to start with small numbers. 0.5. So I'm just trying to get my altitude on the money. So before we're about 200 feet off, I'm trying to fix that. See, it likes to stay at 200 feet off. And this new oscillation is because of this, so. So see, it's like happy to keep a 200-foot error. I don't know why it wants to do that. You know what it could be? It could be my conversion screwed up, but it can't be because when I do vertical, it holds it within 1 foot. So watch this. All right, I'm gonna press spacebar and go into vertical flight mode. Let's see how accurately it holds that altitude now in vertical flight mode. So about 50 feet, 75 feet. So it's still not perfect, but it's much more accurate than it was. Let's try a 0 in here again. Okay, so that's fine. Alright, so the D value is not cutting it. Dare I try the integral? Usually integral's not going to fix it, but we'll play with it and see what happens. Let's do this. Let's leave this. So 0.6 works all right. Let's go over here and play with this one. So this is the first part. This sets the vertical speed, the desired vertical speed. So let's play with this and see if I can't get this to work how I want it to do it. You know, this is the point where it's obnoxious to. This is usually what I do off screen because it's like I have to come in here and I have to start it up and I have to go test, and then it's like boring, boring, boring. All right, let's go ahead, break off. Ducted fans coming in. It's got to be, let's see, that's got to be well on the other side of the world for me. Because I'm at 16. All right, so what was that? 0.03 was the first stage of the VSI. Pause brake gears coming up, altitude hold, heading hold autopilot. All right, I have 3,000 set in. All the stock numbers are in there. Let's see if we can't get a, see where this goes. And then I'm gonna try changing this p-value and see if I can't get this error fixed. So it wants to hover like 200 feet high. See, there's 200, about, yeah, there's 200 feet high right there. So let's fix this. 0.06. So that fixed it to 100. Let's go 0.12. So I'm just doubling it, trying to get it close. So that's tuning it in. That's helping. Let's go 0.3. That's fixing it up. Okay, that's working. So see it, but now it's oscillating. So I need to cut the oscillation out. So it's making it better, but let's do 0.15. So that made it better. It's still not perfect. Especially when I do time lapses, I don't want the plane bobbing at all because, you know, when you see the time lapse, like right now, see how stable we are? In a time lapse, it might look like this. If it was bobbing like this, and now it would look like this in a time lapse, and, you know, it'd be unusable. So that's better. We're down to a 50-foot correction. Okay, that's much better. So what's that? 0.15. Let's go ahead, try 0.2. So maybe I can get these tightened up with an integral gain. So I might work on the integral or even a little bit of derivative, but we'll see. Okay, so let's keep, I think 0.15 was fine. Let's go ahead and do an altitude change. We'll descend down to 2,000. You know, this looks like a slow descent rate, but that is about the most you'd want to be doing in a jet like this. You know, this is about 8 degrees down. 8 degrees is pretty, like, in an airliner, you know, 10 is max. All right, so we can see if this levels off close to 2,000. So that fixed it up a little bit. That helped a little bit. Yeah, so that's better. All right, so I made it a little bit better. I'll keep working on it, but I don't need to be perfect. All right, let's try to freak this thing out as much as possible. So we're going to go 010 up to 5,000. So one of the reasons why I do my autopilots, like I was saying, with the altitude, I haven't set the vertical speed I want. A lot of people, what they'll do is they'll just do the first part, and the way you do it in real life is you set a vertical speed, and so you know your maximum vertical speed you want to go up, you know your maximum vertical speed you want to go down, and so the first PID sets the vertical speed, and that one you put in a clamp so it only goes as high or as low as you want for vertical speed, and then the second one just tries to maintain the vertical speed you want. And so that I find is a much better altitude hold system. All right, so presently it's okay. It's good. I thought that waypoint was where we were going. It's not. So I said 010. It's still going for 010. So that did a nice course reversal really well. It didn't freak the hell out. All right, good. Let's go spacebar. We'll completely stop and we'll go into vertical mode. No craziness. Beautiful, no craziness here. All right, just did a little bit of a pitch to try to stop our forward movement, which is fine. And my altitude set at 5,000. We're about 200 low, but watch, it's going up. So let's see if it gets, which it doesn't matter to me that it lost a little altitude. Trying to get there. Heading, you know, as you see, the wings are going to roll funky because I still need to fix that. Let's see how close this gets. Dude, that's like on the money for altitude. In vertical mode, just pitching, it's not as precise, but it's pretty good. Pretty damn good there. This is the other trick I can do with altitude. The other thing I can do is a correction factor, but try not to do that right now. Sometimes I do put in a correct. Oh, what was the number? Do you guys remember the number I put in there? 0.15. Okay, good. I remembered it. Let's see. vertical selection, vertical set, p-value is 0.15. Okay. Right. So I make them all property numbers now so I can change them without having to go in the panel. So here is I have negative 15 feet. That's a correction factor I put in there to try to fix it even more. So let's try 75 correction factor on there. Because I'm converting it to actual feet instead of meters. Because I put it in as feet. I could try converting it there, but I don't know, we'll see. All right, let's fix this yaw, and then I'm going to take a break. So let's see. All right, so what we want to do here is we want 2 up-down counters, which I should already have them up here. So here are what I want. So this whole argument here is what I want. So I'm just going to copy all this. All right, and I'll put it here. All right, and then I need to hook up linear speed. And so what this is going to do is this is going to, again, slowly, when we go below 90 knots, which is when I start transitioning into vertical flight mode, it's going to slowly stop the roll, and it's going to slowly go to yaw. And so what I think I'm going to do here is, what is this? There, okay. So if it is less than 90, it's going to be, because less than 90, okay, if it's less than 90, it's going to bring it down to 0. So this is the one I want here. So for where this plugs in here, I need a function. Nope. So it's going to be x times y. And so this is going to go to x, this is going to go to y, and then this here is going to go and plug into this p-value here. And so what that's going to do is when I'm in plane mode, it's going to be, I'll be over 90 knots, so this number will be 1. And so it'll be this number times 1, and it will work like I want. As soon as I go below 90, this is going to count down to 0. So now it's going to be this number times 0, and then it's going to say, hey, I want to maintain 0 roll, and this is going to do it. Now, I can still override it and control it like that, but that's going to auto-stabilize my roll. And then my yaw will come through here, and the yaw should still control yaw there. So let's hope that works. I might have to change this clamp value, but I will see. Okay, let's try that, see if it's that simple. Did I plug in speed? I did. I'm just going to double check. Yep, so that'll work, hopefully. Let's check it. I'm just reading from chat here one minute. Yeah, it's definitely addicting. One of the things that's important is, again, everybody should play how they want, but you have some people who have no interest in the engineering stuff, and I think when you start to, it is very helpful to enjoy the game is, learn piece by piece, and that's kind of why I do my new player career build series the way I do is, you get a lot of people that come in and they want to build the Titanic, like I was saying, and the best thing is to build a small, little, ugly boat that has no features and learn the basic mechanics. Once you learn the basic mechanics, say, okay, I've got a boat, it works. Now I want to learn to navigate better. And so that's going to be the next couple episodes, probably. I'll go into making a bearing system like this. And you'll start to learn basic navigation. And then you'll start to do something else, and you'll learn little steps. And then, now that you're confident, you can move on to the next step. A lot of people try to run before they can walk, and then they get frustrated, and the game sucks. I don't want to play anymore. And so it's not glamorous. It's not fun to do some of the basic easy stuff, but it teaches you the game, and I think that's important to kind of get into. So let's go 3. Okay, so actually, I don't want to do this. Let's go, what I want to do is I want to do altitude of 500 feet. I want to go altitude, heading, autopilot, and I just want to test vertical mode. All right, look at the roll now. Notice how before it was rolling back and forth, that was because that was how it was trying to yaw, was with roll. Because that's how it does it in plane mode. Now notice, it's using the yaw of the rotors to do it. So it's a little bit off. It could use a little bit of tweaking, but notice it's pretty close. It's holding me within plus or minus 2 degrees. So those need to be a little bit more sensitive to keep my roll at 0 and my yaw, but it's working. And so what should happen now is when I transition, let's make sure we have full power. I'm going to start doing, we'll go in third person. I'm going to hold down the 3 key, which engages my fans. And we'll see how it transitions to the forward flight, which requires it to roll to turn. No problem. All right. So that works. Let's check our heading. Heading still at 180. Nice. Let's go ahead and we will press spacebar and we'll transition. And I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to turn the heading. So what altitude am I supposed to be at? 500 feet. Okay. So it's continually descending. Let's go down. Let's just put in 600 so I don't have to wait so long. All right, so it'll slowly descend us. It's going to get there, but it's just taking a second. It's going to be slow now to descend. Okay, that's fine. All right, now I need to go heading. Why is my E key not working? There we go. 270. And it should be yawing me to turn. It is. It's just very slow. So I put a clamp on there. I need to take the clamp off. So, for example, the way I can tell this is if I hold my yaw to where I would want it to yaw, I need a lot of yaw. Okay, so that's fine. Good. All right, so that fixed that up pretty easily, actually. That wasn't a big deal to fix that. And so I don't need this anymore. So, like I said, the reason I'm using this system here is, let me check something really quick here. You know what it's doing? I know what it's doing. The roll tilt is still adding yaw here. I need that back. All right, so this argument here is goes the opposite way. And what this argument's going to do is it is going to let's go just try to clean this up. So this argument here will reduce this number here is what I'm going to do. Okay, good. So this will be function. Perfect. So that's why it was still having roll instability, was that. So this will be x times y. All right, so that should fix that problem. This clamp needs to go to like, let's see. Why is it adding this is the question. X times y, what is it? Okay, why is it adding that? That's freaking weird. Shouldn't need this. I don't know what this is all about anymore. But let's change this up to, let's go 1, 1. That's the worst case scenario. All right. So let's see if this is more stable. The nice thing is now we're doing vertical vertical testing, so we don't have to fly as far to figure things out. And then this is going to be pretty cool, pretty cool, pretty ready to get set up for the career build series. I'll be able to go do some missions. I just need to hide some panels and stuff, so that will help a lot. Altitude's going to be 2,000. Actually, I don't want 2,000. I want a small altitude. I don't want to climb too much. All right, spacebar, autopilot. Power up so we actually have enough thrust to lift off the ground. All right, so it's going to take care of itself now. I'm just pressing the #1 key. So I need to look through that roll yaw system, why it's badgering me here. Alright, so it's working, it's just not as precise as I would like. So we'll get that fixed eventually here. Let's go to 400 feet. Alright, so that turned nice. Well, it's overshooting by quite a bit. So I'll have to fix that. It's overshooting by quite a bit, but it is it's more reactive now. Let's turn on engine 2. Get a little bit more power on here. This is the first time I've turned on engine 2. Alright, so we have 2 engines running. I'm going to go just press 3, and I'm going to go ahead and accelerate out. Alright, so this seems to be working well. I just want to make sure it works well with both engines running. It shouldn't have any problem with both engines running. Wow. Okay. That had nothing to do with both engines running. It just freaked out because the p-value was too high. The p-value is right on the crest of being too high. All right, so I'm going to take a break. This is working reasonably well. There are a couple bugs that I need to work out of it, but I pretty much have them figured out what I need to do. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take a break, and I'll see you guys later. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.